I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today's KSVIP is Aaron Irving. Aaron is celebrating a birthday today. He has Oakley and Irving Wealth Management and LPL Financial Services in Artesia and Carlsbad. Aaron, we appreciate all that you do for your clients and your friends. Thanks for the great and awesome slideshows on your market report and for always telling the better jokes. Today, Aaron, you're going to receive a flower from Lovebud Floral and KSVP. Today's KSVIP, Aaron Irving.
They see me mowing my front lawn. I know they're all thinking I'm so white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy? Look at me, I'm white and nerdy. I wanna roll with the gangsters, but so far they all think I'm too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. I'm just too white and nerdy. Really, really white and nerdy.
My class here at MIT. Got skills, I'm a champion of D&D. MC Escher, that's my favorite MC. Keep your 40 out, just have an Earl Grey tea. My rims never spin, to the contrary. You'll find that they're quite stationary. All of my action figures are cherry. Stephen Hawking's in my library. My MySpace page is all totally pimped out. Got people begging for my top 8 spaces. Yo, I know pie to 1,000 places. Ain't got no grills, but I still wear braces. I order all of my sandwiches with mayonnaise. I'm a whiz, a minesweeper, I can play for days. Once you see my sweet moves, you're gonna stay amazed. My fingers moving so fast, I'll set the place ablaze. There's no killer rap I haven't run. At Pascal, well, I'm number 1. Do vector calculus just for fun. I ain't got a gap, but I got a soldering gun. Happy Days is my favorite theme song. I can sure kick your butt in a game of ping pong. I'll ace any trivia quiz you bring on. I'm fluent in JavaScript as well as Klingon. Here's the part I sing on.
See me roll on my Segway. I know in my heart they think I'm white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy? Look at me, I'm white and nerdy. I like to roll with the gangsters, although it's apparent I'm too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. I'm just too white and nerdy. How'd I get so white and nerdy?
I've been browsing, inspecting X-Men comics, you know I collect them. The pens in my pocket, I must protect them. My ergonomic keyboard never leaves me bored. Shopping online for deals on some writable media. I edit Wikipedia. I memorize Holy Grail really well. I can recite it right now and have you ROTFLOL. I got a business doing websites. Well, my friends need some code, who do they call? I do HTML for them all. Even made a homepage for my dog. Yo, I got myself a fanny pack. They were having a sale down at the Gap. Spend my nights with a roll of bubble wrap. Pop, pop, hope no one sees me getting freaky.
I'm nerdy in the extreme and whiter than sour cream.
I was in a V club and Glee club and even the chess team. Only question I ever thought was hard: what do I like, Kirk, or do I like Picard?
Spend every weekend at the Renaissance Fair. Got my name on my underwear. They see me strolling, they laughing and rolling their eyes cause I'm so white and nerdy. Just because I'm white and nerdy. Just because I'm white and nerdy. All because I'm white and nerdy. Holy cow, I'm white and nerdy. I wanna bowl with the gangsters, but oh well, it's obvious I'm white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. I'm just too white and nerdy. Look at me, I'm white and nerdy.
Good morning, Artesia. Joby Hodling here in for Gene Dow on this beautiful Wednesday morning. I think it's Wednesday. I lose track of the days almost every day, but great to be here on the Good Morning Artesia show, and we've got a packed show today. We're going to have a lot of information coming through, as always, on the Good Morning Artesia show. We're going to have the Yeso Elementary folks with us here in this hour. And then the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to have Mayor John Henry, as he'll be coming in and visiting about what's going on in the city with the city departments and with his office. Always busy in the city of Artesia, and they had the monthly city council meeting was last night, and I know there was a lot of things happened during that. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, we've got three different things. We've got Tammy Neal coming in with the Yucca Blossom Trade Days that's coming up this weekend out at the Eddy County Fairgrounds, and let her talk about all that they've got going on out there. I know there's a lot of things happening, and I think it's all day Saturday and then from 11 to 4 or something like that on Sunday, but Tammy will fill us in on that. And then, of course, we'll have Aaron Irving in the 9 o'clock hour. He'll talk about what's going on out there in the economy and give us the stock market report. I know yesterday was a pretty big loss out there in the stock market, so if you do trading or if you've got stuff out there, you may be watching that on a regular basis, or you may not. I know some people definitely do, but some that have stuff out there don't. They just kind of let it ride. And then at 9:45, we'll have CVE. Raylyn Beam will be in and wrap up the show for us, talk about what's going on with CVE. With all the inflation that we're facing, prices are rising on everything, and I'm sure she can talk about where we are in the electricity world and what's going on with pricing there. I know I live right outside of town, so not in the city limits, but I'm not on CVE. I have been in my life. I used to own a home out in Cottonwood, and so we were on CVE. Grew up on a farm out there, in fact, and so we were on the Central Valley Electric Co-op, so I'm familiar with CVE. But my electric bill is with XL, which is, probably most everybody in the city anyway is on XL. And I know my electric prices over the last couple of years have really seemed to go up tremendously. So I'm sure Raylyn can give us some insight on that. I know she does every week with Gene, and when they talk about, those things, that not only what CVE does and as part of our community, but also how prices happen, how electricity rises or drops in prices, what goes on and what takes place to have those things occur. We've got a lot of sports going on this week. We talked yesterday about the Artesia Bulldogs and the various sporting activities, and the girls for the volleyball team played last night, JV and varsity. We're over in Hobbs. We'll talk a little bit about that. Carlsbad had games last night. In Carlsbad and at home, our soccer teams played Carlsbad, and so we'll talk about those games and a lot more here on Good Morning Artesia. Like I said, we've got the Yeso Elementary folks going to come in here later on in this hour, and we'll see what's going on at Yeso. And one of the things that I talked a little bit yesterday about that I believe Artesia is kind of in a bubble, and I didn't expand on that a lot, but what I mean by that is it seems like through the ups and downs of the economy, through when other towns seem to be hurting, it seems like we always do okay, and I think that's because we are in a bubble and we've got great employers, great businesses here that try to keep people employed even if there's a downturn, and of course they keep people employed when the economy is booming as well. And then our school system. My belief is that we have a really good one. It could be, if you look out there for New Mexico, seem like we're always in the bottom of education, but I don't think that's reflected here in Artesia. I think our administration and our teachers and our schools, the facilities and everything are top notch, and so I think we're very blessed in Artesia to have that, and that's part of that bubble that I talked about. A lot of times when we look around the rest of the state or the country, I think if we look at it seriously, we can see that we are blessed to be here in Artesia with our schools. And so again, we'll have Yeso Elementary in here this morning, talk about what's going on there at Yeso. And then the other part of the bubble that what I call the bubble of Artesia is our government, our city government. And of course, already said John Henry will be in. He's the mayor, as everyone knows, here in Artesia, and he's real proactive. He's as all our mayors are, but what I was going to say is proactive. We talked about social media yesterday, and John posts a lot of things out there on social media, and I appreciate that. It helps me. I mean, I told you yesterday that I use Facebook. I look at Facebook. I do it I use it as a tool. I use it to learn what's going on around me, and I also use it to share things that I'm doing in terms of my businesses and my church, and also just my family. And I've got family just like everybody probably does. I got family scattered all over the place, and so we can keep up with each other in a pretty easy fashion. We through pictures and through stories that they post and things like that. And so John I think does an exceptional job with utilizing social media as that tool to help the city of Artesia. Anybody that's on Facebook in Artesia can follow the city Facebook page, or I'm sorry, I follow John on Facebook, and you're going to see all kinds of updates all the time on what's going on in the city of Artesia. And I saw, so I was looking at that last night as I knew I'd be in for Gene this morning. And I see them every week, all the time when John posts stuff about the city. But the city had the city council meeting last night, and so I saw his update there and got some insight. And of course, when he's in, we'll get a full report on what happened at the city council. I know there was a Boy Scout troop there that did some things. We'll let John talk about that as well, and what's going on with the city departments. And you probably already know this, or at least maybe don't know it like details of it, but it's, I think, common knowledge that our governments have a lot of moving parts, and it's no different with the city government. And there's all kinds of departments and department heads and lots of employees that work for the city, and a lot of moving parts. And part of that bubble, I think, I believe that we live in here in Artesia, is those moving parts, for the most part, are handled very well. There's always something we can complain about in life. There's always some things that we can be aggravated by, but and that's no different with the city and the city government. But I think overall, pretty good stuff. And I talked a little bit yesterday about as an example, walking around Eagle Draw, and just it's really beautiful. It's a good walking track. You can be out in the community, see people driving by, see people's homes, and just get a good fresh walk there. And that's an example to me. My guess is a lot of cities have things like that, but I know we do. Another example I didn't talk about yesterday is out at JC Park, and I'm reminded of all the things out there regularly because I see a lot, again, on social media. I see a lot of posts and updates. But man, that new stuff out there, for the city football leagues, and then we got the softball parks and the Little League baseball parks all out there, and just what a great, beautiful facility we have for the kids. And then there's that walking track out there too. So another place you can go jog or walk and get some exercise. But those are just two examples. We got a lot of other great examples here in the city, and so I'm proud to call Artesia home. I'm blessed to get to be here for Gene this morning on the show, as I was yesterday, and I think Gene probably will be back tomorrow. So all of you that are going, man, we need to get rid of this guy and get Gene back, I think he'll be back tomorrow. But if not, if I need to sit in for him again, I will. But a lot going on today on the Good Morning Artesia show. Jeffrey Curtis is here, of course, producing, and may have him come up and visit a little bit here in a little while here in the hour before we get our first guests. But right now, I think we'll take a break, and we'll get the weather here on Good Morning Artesia.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have a batch of moist air moving in from the south, and that might bring us some afternoon showers and thunderstorms today. Mix of sunshine and clouds and afternoon highs in the mid to upper 80s. Some lingering showers and thunderstorms this evening. They'll wrap up by about midnight, down to the low 60s, and then we're back to sunny and dry weather on Thursday and Friday, upper 80s to low 90s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
All right, welcome back here to the Good Morning Artesia Show. Again, this is Joby Hobbling in for Gene Dow. Great to have you this morning. Just got some weather update there, and Jeffrey had it up there for me. I'm looking to see if he can put it back up on the screen for me. And he did. So looking at temperatures around the state, or I guess around our corner of the state, over in Hobbs, the high today projected to be 85 degrees and clear, sunny, bright blue skies. In Roswell, 87. And looking at my screen that Jeff put up there for me, looks like they're going to be partly cloudy in Roswell, but a little bit warmer than Hobbs, 87 degrees. Carlsbad scheduled to be, or looking to be, at 89 for a high, so still under 90 with bright clear skies. And Artesia, right here in Artesia, 87 degrees and clear skies. Although as I look out the windows here at the KSVP studio, I see some clouds out there. And when I got up early this morning, it was not overcast, but there were quite a few clouds out there hanging out. And I noticed, I was looking at the weather last night. I needed to do some things out at my shop yesterday afternoon, and needed to put some tools up that I had been using. And it always comes to me because sometimes I'll forget. I'll get moving around and getting different things done, and I'll leave one project too soon. I'll leave tools scattered or something like that. And so I was thinking about it because I knew that we possibly have some rain coming this week, and I wanted to make sure I didn't have anything left out that could get wet that doesn't need to get wet. And I looked at the weather, and we had chances last night. I don't think we got any, at least in my house. It wasn't any rain in the evening, but we had pretty much all night, I think, starting about midnight, based on the weather app I look at. We had a 20% chance for rain, and each hour it said 20%. And actually at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon was our highest, again, according to the weather app I use on my phone. And that's about the time I was looking everything up, because I was doing some things in our yard. I kind of was winding down my work day and was doing stuff around the house. And so I pulled up the app because I was thinking, okay, what do I got to go get cleared up and cleaned up? And we were in the backyard doing some work, and I looked on my weather app, and it said 30% chance of rain was our highest chance, and it happened to be about the same time I was looking at it. And what had prompted me, it was kind of overcast, and I thought, and the wind was there. There was a breeze. I don't know if you were out yesterday afternoon, but just south of Artesia where I live, there was a breeze blowing, and it was kind of overcast. And so I thought I better check and see where the rain's going to be and make sure I got everything put up. And so it was about 4 o'clock when I looked, and at 4 o'clock we had a 30% chance. Now that didn't rain. It didn't rain at my house at 4 o'clock, but it was kind of like it might. And then I just went ahead and looked into the future and looked at the hourly projections, and it was 30%, and then it dropped to 0%, I think, at 6 or 7, something like that. And then it picked up back up to 20%. But unfortunately, I didn't get any rain at my place last night, and I got all my stuff put up just in case it rained anyway. So no worries as far as that goes. Nothing got wet, and nothing would have gotten wet because I got everything put up. I don't know about you guys, but I am, how do I describe this? I am not, and this is something I've worked on since college, but I am not as organized, I guess is the word I should use, as I should be. I've got a shop, and I've got a lot of tools, and I've got a lot of things in it, and organization-wise, I end up having I'm a messy desk kind of guy. I guess that's a good way to think about it. So imagine if you have a desk, and if you work at a desk, or if you have a desk in your house or something where you take care of bills or things like that. My desk is always cluttered. My wife has a desk in our office that's kind of away from me, and her desk is always very nice and neat. And she is the polar opposite of me. I'm kind of a cluttered guy. I paint with a broad stroke, not very detail oriented. I use that painting metaphor for what my work and things like that. I always say I paint with a broad stroke. And my wife is the opposite. She paints very detailed, using the same metaphor. She's a detailed painter and very organized, and I appreciate that. I think I was lucky when I was in college. My roommate, who was a fellow Artesian, he was like that. He was very organized, paint with a detailed brush, and so I think we were a good match as college roommates for a couple of years. We roomed together until I got married my sophomore summer. So I think we were a good match because he helped me become more organized and detailed, and then I transitioned into marriage, and my wife has helped me over the last 30 plus years to do the same. So I don't know about you guys out there, what you are, if you're a paint with a broad stroke kind of person or if you're detailed, but it takes all kinds to make the world go around, and I just happen to be one of those paint with a broad stroke kind of guys. So because of my roommate and because of my wife now for 30 plus years, I've gotten better at staying organized and trying to write a to-do list every day. And well, that is something I've done since college, is write a to-do list, and I encourage everybody to do that, and probably most of you do. But that kind of keeps me on track with my days and what I've got to get done. And if I didn't do it, I think I would fade out pretty quickly. To use Gene's vernacular, he'll say his brain bag. He's got his brain bag with him all the time, and keeps him on the straight and narrow path on the things he needs to get done. And I've usually got a notepad like this. If you're watching, I'm holding up my notepad. You kind of see some notes there on it. I'm using a red ink pen here that was here on the desk when I got here this morning, but kind of keeps me going in the right direction. And so whatever you do, I would encourage you to keep doing it. If you have a hard time and you're struggling with things, then I would encourage you to find something that would help you be more detailed, as I have, and I've had lots of help with that, starting back in college with my roommate. Now, when I was growing up, my parents, they kept me going, and my teachers and my coaches, and they all kept me kind of organized, even though I'm a kind of messy. But then, of course, going to college, you're on your own, and so I had a good roommate that kept me more detailed and organized, and helped me keep things cleaned up in my room because I was a messy kind of a person. But quickly learned to keep my stuff picked up, and then my wife over the years as well. Last night, Hobbs volleyball, Artesia volleyball in Hobbs, and our JV did fall to the JV for Hobbs, but our varsity ends up pulling it out and win in 5 against the Hobbs Eagles varsity volleyball team. And of course, Hobbs, coached by one of our former volleyball coaches. Her maiden name was Gowan, Coach Stacy Gowan. Her married name is Williams. So Coach Williams, our Lady Bulldogs go over and they defeat Coach Williams and the Hobbs Eagles in 5. Carlsbad soccer, the boys won 2-0, and I saw an update on that social media. I saw an update on Facebook by one of the moms had put it out there, and I think Artesia Soccer had also put it out there, the win. But she was excited, said it was a great game and a very exciting game, and the boys won 2-0 in the soccer game. I looked, I didn't find an update on the girls' soccer game, so not sure what happened there, but a great win for the boys' soccer team against another 5A power in Carlsbad. And of course, the girls' volleyball team winning against the 5A Hobbs Eagles over in Hobbs. And that's, they play there in Tasker Arena, and that's a tough place to play volleyball and basketball. Hobbs known for their basketball, but they're also very good in volleyball. And like I said, have one of our former coaches. She won back-to-back titles here back in 2010 and 2011, I think, were the 2 years, and so very successful here in Artesia. And of course, our girls that got the win last night in Hobbs, our Artesia Lady Bulldogs, the defending Class 4A state champs in volleyball, and man, they are just having a great early season here as they continue to rack up the wins, and just a very talented volleyball team, and exciting to get to watch them play, and looking forward to games coming up. Now, I talked about this, Robbie Lou and I talked about this, the last game we were able to do for the girls volleyball team, which was, let's see, I guess it was the week before last. All of September, no home games for the girls volleyball team. So they're road warriors here in September. And last night, of course, they were over in Hobbs. They've got tournaments all of September, so Friday, Saturday tournaments, and road warriors. So we won't get another home game until October. But if you can travel and if you go to those games, I encourage you to do that and go watch all the sports for the Artesia Bulldogs and all that they're involved in. Of course, the New Mexico State Fair is going on right now, and we've got young men and women up there representing Artesia. And so good luck to them as they try to get into that cell ring. All right, so we're going to take another break here on the Good Morning Artesia show. Again, coming up this hour, we're going to have folks from Artesia Public Schools, specifically Yeso Elementary, and we'll get to visit with them and see what's going on at Yeso. And then next hour, we're going to have John Henry, and he's going to have, as I think Jeffrey told me yesterday, he's going to have his mayor hat on. And, you know, John is the Eddy County Commissioner, and he's also the city mayor for Artesia. So today, he'll be talking about all things city government for the Artesia city government. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, we got 3 guests, so a busy hour there. We'll have Tammy Neal with Yucca Blossom Trade Days. That's coming up this Saturday and Sunday. A lot of fun things happening out there at the Eddy County Fairgrounds with the Yucca Blossom Trade Days. And then we'll, of course, have Aaron Irving, and he's got a special day today, and I'm going to remind myself of this, but today is Aaron's birthday, so we need to tell him happy birthday here on the radio. And then we'll close out the show, the Good Morning Artesia show this morning, with CVE and Raylyn Bean. So stay right here as we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll have some more to talk about. Artesia, Good Morning Artesia.
We're in challenging dark times, like being in the Carlsbad Caverns without a light, or on the plains of the White Sands at night. We've lacked the light of real leadership in Washington. But in New Mexico, we've got Congresswoman Yvette Herro fighting for us against the woke radical liberals in Washington who look down on us. Yvette Herro fights to secure our southern border and stop the flood of crime and drugs. Yvette Herro fights for the energy industry that creates New Mexico jobs and can end America's reliance on foreign oil. Yvette Herro fights for our neighbors, friends, and family's safety by standing with law enforcement against the radicals who want to defund the police. The woke, radical, liberal Democrats have failed us, but we've got our Congresswoman, Yvette Herro, fighting them, leading for us. Paid for by Right Women PAC, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. RightWomen.com.
Southeast New Mexico College offers a variety of associate degrees and certificates to help you pursue your educational goals. You'll find high-quality, affordable associate programs like business and nursing. Certificate programs like natural gas compression, welding, and industrial maintenance are offered to serve the common needs. Find your direction at SENMC. Navigate new pathways through higher learning at Southeast New Mexico College. Learn more at senmc.edu.
It's Chevy truck season at Guy Chevrolet Company in Artesia. The Chevy Silverado is as durable as it is dependable with its proven power and capability along with advanced technology. And this month you can make it your own with a $1,000 accessory allowance when you purchase or lease a Silverado 1500 or HD. So come on in and see us today at Guy Chevrolet Company on the corner of 1st and Main in Artesia or at GuyChevy.com.
Making a great deal better every day.
Welcome back here to the Good Morning Artesia show. Joby Hodling in for Gene Dow. Great to have you this morning. We're going to have, as I said, a lot happening today here on the show. But next, I think we'll go ahead and take another break and hear the Pecos Valley news update. We'll also have the Eddy County Sports Report, Kim Commando Tech Tip, and then we'll have Turpinning and Son and talk about what's on tap with Turpinning and Son. So Pecos Valley news update up next, Eddy County Sports Report, and Kim Commando Tech Tip right here on the Good Morning Artesia show.
Now for your Pecos Valley News Update, I'm Jared Cirillo. An Artesia man will spend the next dozen years in state prison after he pleaded no contest to second-degree murder. 24-year-old Tyler Kelly was sentenced this week for the killing of Marcelino Briceño in 2020 in Roswell. Roswell police had said Kelly shot Briceño after the pair engaged in what was described as an ongoing dispute over a woman. Kelly is also facing attempted murder charges in a separate case that alleges he opened fire on a car traveling south on US 285 near Artesia in May of 2020. Despite discount days at the New Mexico State Fair earlier this week, fairgoers are complaining in droves that the food is way overpriced this year. The food always one of the biggest draws at the state fair, but this year a fresh squeezed cup of lemonade will set you back $13. A cheeseburger, fries, and a soda will cost $18. The turkey legs are also going for $18. You're up to date. I'm Jared Cirillo reporting.
What's in a name? A reputation to bring you service and quality. What's in a name?
At Lowell's Pharmacy, we're ready with your flu shot. Flu shots prevent millions of illnesses and flu-related doctor's visits every year. Getting the flu shot has been shown to reduce the risk of having to go to the doctor with flu by 40 to 60%. So take time to visit Lowell's Pharmacy in Artesia and get your flu shot.
It's time for the Eddy County Sports Report. Let's talk some volleyball. Last night, it was a bounce-back victory for the Artesia Lady Bulldogs, who over the weekend suffered their first loss of the season. Artesia lost on Saturday 3-1 to Mayfield, and then on the same day defeated Oregon Mountain in a 3-2 five-setter. Kimber Beltran had 11 kills there. Well, they had another one that went 5 last night. This was against Hobbs. Artesia wins that by a score of 3-2. 15-9 was the score in the fifth. Loving, meanwhile, moves to 6-6 on the season by rolling NMMI in a 3-0 sweep of the Falcons' next play at Dexter on Saturday. And a soccer score for you. How about boys soccer? Artesia 2, Carlsbad 0. Artesia is now 9-3 on the season. The Sports Report brought to you by DSI. Call DSI for all your office technology needs. I'm Eric Butler at KSVP Radio, AM 990.
I'm not surprised that a recent survey from Advast revealed 1 out of 3 Americans have sent a naked pic of themselves, usually by text or sharing on social media as a direct message. Care to guess the percentage that the naked photos were shared without the sender's permission? I'm Kim Commando with the answer, brought to you by LinkedIn. Post a job for free and find qualified candidates quickly at linkedin.com/Kim. Sexting, send nudes, whatever you call it, it's not as taboo as it used to be. But the problem is once that pic leaves your phone, you lost all control. The recipient can do pretty much anything with your photo. The survey found naked pics are shared without permission about 75% of the time. So play the odds and know your pic is going to be one of those. What does surprise me is that the average American has sent intimate messages or photos to the wrong person 6 times. Yes, 6 times. I'm glad that I'm not average, and I am happily married. Get more tech news and my advice to callers just like you with my new daily podcast called Kim Commando Today. Prices on just about everything are rising, but thanks to CarShield, I don't have to worry about how much it's going to cost to fix my car when it breaks down. Their price will never go up, and they help handle everything. That's why I love them. CarShield offers protection plans for around $100 a month that cover more parts than ever before. When you need a repair, there's no paperwork or headaches. CarShield will even take care of you when your car breaks down on the side of a road. Every protection plan includes coast-to-coast roadside assistance, courtesy towing, and rental car options at no extra cost. So as long as you cover your car, no matter how old it is, you're protected from the rising cost of parts and repairs. Get coverage like I did. Go to carshield.com/Kim or call 800-391-8888 to save 10% on your plan. That's carshield.com/Kim or call 800-391-8888 to save 10%. That's carshield.com/Kim.
And that one, just talk right into it. Yeah, you don't have to lean in, but you might pull it to you a little bit. All right, welcome back here on the Good Morning Artesia show, and we've got some folks here from Yeso Public Schools, but before we do that, we're going to have the Turpinning and Son minute. At Turpinning and Son, we take pride in providing families with the best service possible We are here for you in all times. Let Turpinning and Son Mortuary coordinate the perfect service for a life well lived. We make it personal is not just a tagline. It's the way we conduct ourselves every day as we honor the families we serve. Located in Artesia, serving our community and your family, 611 West Grand. Visit artesiafunerals.com and on Facebook, Turpinning and Son Mortuary. We don't have any obituaries today. Just a reminder, we had one yesterday. Roman Gabriel Barrera, born on February 26, 1981, and passed on September 7th, 2022 at the age of 41. And his service is Friday, September 16th at the House of Worship here in Artesia. All right, as promised, we've got some ladies from Yeso Elementary School. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we'll talk about what's going on at Yeso. So why don't we start with the principal? Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Mrs. Worley, and I am the principal at Yeso Elementary. And we are so glad to be here today and talking to the community. And I have with me Miss Olivas, our fourth grade teacher, and Mrs. Sanchez, our secretary. So thank you for having us.
Well, thanks for being here, guys. Turn them up a little bit. Jeffrey comes in and says, turn them up. I'll do that. Thank you guys for coming in. Of course, you've got the B team here, and me. Gene Dow, is, as you probably know, is the Good Morning Artesia guy. But he is out, and so he asked me to step in the last couple of days. So thank you guys for coming in. Let's talk about, I guess, let's do this. First thing, why don't you talk to Mrs. Worley about what you do with as the principal and kind of what your day entails.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much for having us. So our day is very fast-paced. We begin the morning with letting our students into the building at about 7:50. We open the doors. Our students go into the classrooms where the teachers are already there, and they are teachers are there to go ahead and begin the day with feeding them breakfast eventually, and usually around what time, Miss Olivas, do we feed breakfast?
Breakfast is usually there right when we get there in the morning, when we let them in. So I take it, set it on my table. As they're coming in, they grab their breakfast, do their jobs in the morning, and breakfast is over by 8:30.
Yes, and we do like to go ahead and begin instruction by 7:30, by 8:30. And in that way, we can go ahead and get our day going. One thing that we are, that we really actually love having at Yeso is we have a motto of be the I in kind. And so we believe that all students should be kind, and kind is spelled K-I-N-D. And so that's me. So when I am in that kind, it is myself as Mrs. Worley, or a staff member, or a student. So I'll let the girls elaborate on that a little bit and what they do with the day.
Okay, so why don't we go to Cassie Sanchez. You're the secretary.
Yes, sir. I'm the secretary at Yeso.
All right, so talk, let the folks out there know what you do, what your day involves, and also the I in kind. I guess you're included.
So I'm the face of Yeso. I'm the I'm the person everyone sees first when they come into Yeso. Okay. If they're new to Artesia, or if they're a parent of ours already, I'm the first face they see. I do enrollments, I do deposits, I'm a nurse sometimes, so I wear a lot of hats. But I just try to remind all the students how important they are when they come in the office. I'm not around the kids all day like the teachers, so I just want to be that person that if they need to come to the office, it's a positive thing for them to do. Even if the office is sometimes scary for students. When they say office, you automatically think they're in trouble, but that's not the case. So
I think it's always scary for students.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure I'm that positive role model for all the students that come in to those doors.
Okay, and as you said, you're kind of the first line to the public anyway, yes. Right? So you're up in the front, and so when anybody in the public comes in, they've got to go through the office to get into the school.
Yes.
Which is part of all the schools, I guess, here in Artesia. Mm-hmm. So you're the first one they see.
Yes, sir.
And so you
Yes,
can.
sir. And one of the things that we would like to say is that, so whenever you come to YESO, or really probably usually any of our schools in Artesia, is they do ring the doorbell in order to get into the building.
Yes.
And is that, I figure that's part of the safety aspect of our schools, to make sure that you got to get in, you got to be seen, and then ring the doorbell, and then to make sure we don't have any issues. All right, well, we've got a teacher here as well, as you've already pointed out, Mrs. Worley, Mrs. Cassie Sanchez. No, man. See, and here's the thing. I'll tell you guys this.
She can be Cassie.
She can be Cassie. So, no, I'm sorry. You're right. I looked right down my list, and I had you third, but I went second.
That's okay.
So I apologize. Devney Olivas. And so, am I saying your last name correctly?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Thank you.
So talk about fourth grade. What's going on in fourth grade these days?
So fourth grade, this is my second year in fourth grade. I taught first grade for 5 years. Fourth grade is a big change for kids. I think it's their first time being a big kid on campus. It's a lot of more responsibility, especially after coming off of COVID. We've had a lot of adjustments in fourth grade. But fourth graders are fun. You can joke around with them. They will give it right back to you.
Is that where the change is between third and fourth? They kind of get more comfortable with the teachers, or is it earlier?
I think, well, I've already had these students before.
Right.
I had them in first grade, so I have a bunch of them again. So they are very comfortable with me, but I think they are a little bit more comfortable in the school setting. I think 9 and 10-year-olds, they're not little kids anymore, but they're not the big kids anymore, so they're kind of having like an identity crisis in fourth grade that they're trying to figure out. So I think it's great. They're really fun, a lot of fun.
And as far as the curriculum goes, you teach everything, right? Or do they move around? I know when I was in school, my teacher taught me everything in grade school. But is that different today?
Usually in fourth grade, yes, your teacher does teach everything. This year and a little bit of last year at YESO, we have decided to departmentalize. So we have, the way our classrooms are, we share like a little office closet between us. And so myself and my co-teacher, I teach writing and social studies. She teaches math and science. And we both teach reading to our own classes because we got new curriculum this year. Miss Worley wants everybody to learn it. But so we're switching classes throughout the day.
Okay.
And I think it's great. It gets the kids up, moving out of their seats. You get to go to a new environment. They're getting ready for that middle school age. It's a great transition.
And so is that just fourth and fifth grade do that, or is it all grades that have that?
Just the fourth grade.
Just the
Yes,
fourth
I think
grade.
so.
So fifth
Yes,
grade, they
sir.
go back just to one teacher.
Yes, sir.
But it is kind of, as you said, preparing them a little bit for Zia or
Yes.
Artesia Intermediate, I guess. I still
Yes.
call it Zia. Because they're going to go to a bunch of classes, right? Throughout the day. They're not just going to be in one classroom. Well, I wanted to let you guys talk a little bit because it was such a, I guess I'll use the word interruption in our lives with COVID, and you guys dealt directly with that with students. And I know, everything I read and dealing with just with my own kids, my own life, it was an interruption, and so what has happened since you guys have been back in school? And it's been a while now, but kind of all the stuff has gone away, I think. I think all the requirements and all that stuff. But talk a little bit about those couple of years and how you transitioned into all those requirements, and then having to be online for a while, and then transitioning back out of those requirements to where we are today. And you can do that, Mrs. Worley, or whoever wants to talk about that.
I'll go ahead and start, and then of course I want to hear from our ladies as well. But one thing I do want to say is that I am very proud of our YESO teachers. As soon as we went down in March, and we had, of course, the kids didn't have the technology at home, so we started making the packets, and the parents would drive through and would have the packets for them. And then as well as we would, then the next year when we began 5 to 1 with our first, second, and third grade, our fourth and fifth went live on, and they were live on their devices, and their students had devices there at home, and so our students went live, and our teachers were live with them, and so the teachers were there for reading, math, science, social studies, writing, anything that any normal academic subject that they would teach at school, they taught live. Our teachers were there in the building. They were live, going live every day, all day. And then we had our assistants. We had some of our assistants for our special ed department. They were also going live with their students. So I feel like we were taking care of business and getting our kids doing what they need to do in a definite different type of situation. Something that when we went to college, we never prepared to go live. We prepared to be in the classroom with our students.
And of course, when you're saying go live, you mean you were online with them.
We were on live. Yes. Yes. So yes. Yes.
Did you see them?
Yes, sir. So we had of course the teachers had their laptops, and we got cameras for them, and so they sat in front of just kind of like what you have today, and it was wonderful. So the teachers could see the kids' faces, and the kids could see the teacher's face and ask questions at any time.
And so it was pretty effective then for the grade school.
It was very effective, and we started really hardcore with our 4th and 5th grade, and then we brought in our 3rd grade, and then our 2nd grade and our 1st grade. So 1st grade, it's a little bit harder because you've got the parents sitting right next to them helping them, but those 4th and 5th and really our 3rd grade could just go live, jump on live, and I'm very proud and very thankful for each of our teachers and all that they did during that time.
Yeah, it was a tough time.
It was.
So what I think is interesting is that the 4th graders that I have right now, I had them in 1st grade, and that's when COVID hit. So they haven't had a regular school year until now. This is the first year that they've had a regular school year. So that's also a big adjustment, considering how much time in a physical setting that they've missed out on. But it's great. I remember whenever Miss Worley came on the announcements and said, the mask mandate has been lifted. Everybody took off their masks and threw them. Miss Worley was crying on the announcements. We were crying. It's so hard to teach behind the mask, especially in 1st grade when you're trying to teach those phonics skills.
Yeah.
But since we're getting to have a regular school year, we're getting to mix groups. They're getting to mix groups on the playground. 4th graders get to play with 3rd graders and 5th graders for a little bit. And I think it also, there's not as many behavioral issues because they're not stuck with the same group of kids all day, every day. They're getting to mix and play with other friends, and it's just very important for them to have those skills.
Well, how about in the office? I mean...
Well, and that's what I was going to say. It wasn't just hard on the students. It was also hard on, the office staff, the administration office, the parents, the kids, and I think everybody handled it in the best way that they could. It was just hard on everyone, and so I think it turned out in the best way it could.
Well, I didn't have anybody in grade school during that time, so I didn't know everything that was going on at the grade school level. I knew what was going on in high school because I had a high school student, but were you open? Could parents come in, or was it just you guys were there and the doors were locked? Did you see?
Yeah, parents weren't allowed to come in. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you didn't have anybody coming through, but you were still doing your normal office duties, taking care of things there in the office. All right, well, so we're out of that now, as you've all three said. And Yeso, how many classes are in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 5th? You said one of your 4th grade teachers, so how many are there?
Yes, so we have 5 1st grade classrooms.
Wow.
We have 4 2nd, 4 3rd, 4 4th, and 4 5th grade. We have a total of 21 classrooms. We have a little under 500 students in our building. I am a full-time principal, and I have a part-time assistant principal, Mrs. Fodge. She would be here today, but she is in Albuquerque with her son at the state fair, Sammy. So we're wishing you good luck today and all of our Artesia kids at the state fair. But we are the largest elementary school, and I want to say we do a fabulous job. We have about 48 staff members that work at Yeso, and it takes every single one of us. to make sure that our kids are fed and taught and safe and especially loved. And so that's what we have at YESO.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in. And again, I'm glad I've got to listen to you and talk to you this morning. Gene will be back. So if you do it again, I don't know the schedule, but if you guys if you come back in again, I'm sure you'll have Gene Dow next time. But have a great day at school.
Thank you.
I know you need to get there and get underway.
May I say one more thing?
Yes.
I would just like to thank the community and everyone who bought enchilada tickets for our fundraiser. That was our 51st enchilada supper for homecoming. And so we are very thankful for the businesses and each individual that purchases our tickets from YESO Elementary for the enchilada supper. So thank you, community and businesses, for all that you do for us.
Yeah, and it's always a great supper too.
It was really good. And thank you to our cafeteria, Aaron and his staff, for all of their help with our enchilada supper and the food. So thank you, everyone.
All right, well, thank you guys for coming in. Go to school.
Okay, yes, sir.
It's that time. All right, Artesia, Good Morning Artesia show will continue here as these ladies go back to school. We're going to have the weather up next, so stay tuned.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have a batch of moist air moving in from the south, and that might bring us some afternoon showers and thunderstorms today. Mix of sunshine and clouds and afternoon highs in the mid to upper 80s. Some lingering showers and thunderstorms this evening. They'll wrap up by about midnight, down to the low 60s, and then we're back to sunny and dry weather on Thursday and Friday, upper 80s to low 90s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Well, we're going to close out the hour this morning here, the 7 o'clock hour, with the Wall Street Business Report. Of course, we got the Artesia Bulldogs coming up this weekend against the Cleveland Storm at Cleveland and Rio Rancho. And we'll start the next hour just in a few moments. We've got the mayor coming in, so Mr. John Henry. Stay right here on Good Morning Artesia, KSVP Radio, KSVPTV.com, and of course on our social media pages.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander. Lower gas costs slowed U.S. inflation for the second straight month in August, but most other prices across the economy kept rising, evidence that inflation remains a heavy burden for Americans. Consumer prices rose 8.3% from a year ago and 0.1 of a percentage point from July. Boeing is rebounding. Boeing jetliner deliveries rose in August to 35 airplanes as the U.S. plane maker resumed handovers of its 787 Dreamliner after a 15-month delay. Boeing deliveries in July had fallen to a 5-month low of 26 airplanes, highlighting pressure on global supply chains. In September 2020, the FAA said it was investigating manufacturing flaws in some 787 jetliners. Gasoline prices keep dropping as the summer driving season ends. The national average price for a gallon of gas fell 7 cents in the past week to reach $3.71. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander in Washington.
When I was young, I thought I had forever to prepare for retirement. But as the years went by, retirement got closer and closer. And, well, I wish I'd have started saving 10 years earlier.
How you spend your retirement depends on what you do now while you're still working. We've helped a lot of area seniors prepare for retirement. Stop in and see us about saving for yours. Western Bank of Artesia. We're big on you. Member FDIC.
Exciting news from Richland Motors on West 2nd in Roswell. Here's Richland sales manager Freddie Souza to tell you all about it.
Hey, Freddie Souza here, and our lot is finally full. We have both new and used vehicles with a wide variety to choose from. Whether you want economical or top of the line, we have it. And something we haven't seen in nearly 2 years, a large selection of brand new trucks straight from the factory. And Richland Motors is one of the only dealerships with zero markup on new trucks. So hurry in today to Richland because we're not sure how long they'll last.
Make your way to Richland on West 2nd in Roswell for your next vehicle. Mexico. Se habla español.
Have you noticed the days are getting shorter? This is Jim Gill from Roswell Seed Company. I know it's kind of hard to tell, but we're on the downhill side of the year, so every day is a couple of minutes shorter than the one before, even though your plants need plenty of food and water to keep them healthy. Like those globe willows that are turning yellow. A good dose of the right fertilizer will make them bright green again. No matter what the problems you're having, we probably have a cure at Roswell Seed Company, but come see us soon, because winter's coming, you know.
Hey CVE members, have you scheduled your no-cost home energy audit? If not, we're getting close to summer and hotter weather. It's time to sign up. Call 575-746-3571 to get your name on the list for a free home energy audit. Weather stripping, new door sweeps, minor repairs, and much more. Start saving money and keep that purchased air in your home. Central Valley Electric Cooperative is happy to partner with Green Metal Energy for this valuable audit. Again, 575-746-3571.
Your Artesia Bulldogs are blazing through the season, and coming up this Friday, the boys are back on the road, headed to Cleveland High to take on the Storm. KSVP AM and FM and KSVPTV.com are your source for all things Bulldogs. Join Joby Hodling and Robbie Ballou for audio-only coverage beginning with the pregame at 6:30 and kickoff at 7. Bulldogs versus the Storm of Cleveland High. Friday night beginning at 6:30 on KSVP AM and FM and audio coverage at KSVPTV.com. Southeastern New Mexico's sports authority, then, now, and always.
Welcome to Answers with Ken Ham, presented by the Coalition of Christians for Biblical Creation and Steve and Cindy Anderson of Napa Auto Parts in Artesia. CCBC is an interdenominational coalition of Christians from Artesia who believe that the account of origins presented in Genesis is a simple but factual presentation of actual events. Answers with Ken Ham is brought to you by Steve and Cindy Anderson of Napa Auto Parts, proudly serving all of your automotive needs, individual and commercial, with quality Napa parts. Now, today's Answers with Ken Ham. Today's KSVIP is Aaron Irving. Aaron is celebrating a birthday today. He has Oakley and Irving Wealth Management and LPL Financial Services in Artesia and Carlsbad. Aaron, we appreciate all that you do for your clients and your friends. Thanks for the great and awesome slideshows on your market report and for always telling the better jokes. Today, Aaron, you're going to receive a flower from Lovebud Floral and KSVP. Today's KSVIP, Aaron Irving.
They see me mowing my front lawn. I know they're all thinking I'm so white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy? Look at me, I'm white and nerdy. I wanna roll with the gangsters, but so far they all think I'm too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. I'm just too white and nerdy. Really, really white and
First
nerdy.
time class there at MIT. Got skills, I'm a champion of D&D. MC Escher, that's my favorite MC. Keep your 40 out, just have an Earl Grey tea. My rims never spin, to the contrary. You'll find that they're quite stationary. All of my action figures are cherry. Stephen Hawking's in my library. My MySpace page is all totally pimped out. Got people begging for my top 8 spaces. Yo, I know pie to 1,000 places. Ain't got no grills, but I still wear braces. I order all of my sandwiches with mayonnaise. I'm a whiz and minesweeper, I can play for days. Once you see my sweet moves, you're gonna stay amazed. My fingers moving so fast, I'll set the place ablaze. There's no killer rap I haven't run. At Pascal, well, I'm number 1. Do vector calculus just for fun. I ain't got a gap, but I got a soldering gun. Happy Days is my favorite theme song. I can sure kick your butt in a game of ping pong. I'll ace any trivia quiz you bring on. I'm fluent in JavaScript as well as Klingon. Here's the part I sing on.
See me roll on my Segway. I know in my heart they think I'm white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy? Look at me, I'm white and nerdy. I like to roll with the gangsters. Although it's apparent I'm too white
I'm letting this song play all the way out. Gene's theme song. I think this is. I hope I get this right.
I've been browsing and
Weird
inspecting
Al
X-Men comics, you know I collect them. The pens in my pocket, I must protect them. My ergonomic keyboard never leaves me bored. Shopping online for deals on some writable media. I edit Wikipedia. I memorize Holy Grail really well. I can recite it right now. And have you ROTFLOL? I got a business doing websites. While my friends need some code, who do they call? I do HTML for them all. Even made a homepage.
All right, I'm going to try this again. I'm letting Gene's theme song play out here. White and Nerdy by Weird Al Yankovic, I think is right. So Weird Al here on the Good Morning Artesia show. We're going into the 8 o'clock hour now. We're going to have the mayor, John Henry, join us here in a little bit. So looking forward to hearing him and his report on what's all happening with the city of Artesia and the government that takes care of a lot of the things that we don't see. I mean, we see them, but it's behind the scenes stuff that's happening that makes it where we don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. So Mr. John Henry will be in here in a little bit. Also going to have the incredible story of the day, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Plus, we're going to have the weather, another weather break coming up here in just a few moments.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have a batch of moist air moving in from the south, and that might bring us some afternoon showers and thunderstorms today. Mix of sunshine and clouds, and afternoon highs in the mid to upper 80s. Some lingering showers and thunderstorms this evening. They'll wrap up by about midnight, down to the low 60s, and then we're back to sunny and dry weather on Thursday and Friday, upper 80s to low 90s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
All right, so there was the weather brought to you by Steve Hamilton, talking about what's going to be happening here in our neck of the woods. As I said, here in this hour, we have the expectation of having of our mayor, Mr. John Henry, joining us here in a little bit. But now it's time for the incredible story of the day, brought to you by Incredible Printing, located across the street from the Derek Floor statue. Let Georgia and her team, Artesia's only local printers, take care of all of your custom carbon material today. Incredible Printing survived the shutdowns and is open for your business. Incredible Printing can make your business and office a professional-looking brochure to advertise everything that puts you ahead of the competition. And I think I need to make a change here, which I just did, and hopefully that took care of that. But anyway, back to the incredible story of the day. Incredible does business cards and posters while specializing in custom carbon material. And here's the incredible story of the day, brought to you by Incredible Printing. And I'm going to use the girls' volleyball game as they went over and took on Hobbs. Hobbs always tough in all sports, and volleyball no different, taking on our former coach and Coach Stacy Gowan Williams. And the girls pull it out in 5. And I saw an update on Facebook last evening. I keep talking about that social media, but I get a lot of things off of social media, as I've already explained to everybody. I saw an update, and somebody commented, boy, it wasn't looking good, but the girls battled, and they end up winning in 5. And so there, as you heard on the Eddy County Sports update, they have only one loss. They lost in the semifinal game at the Zia Classic Saturday to the Mayfield Trojans, and then went on to defeat Class 5A Oregon Mountain in the third place game at the Zia Classic. But that's their only loss on the season, and they've defeated a lot of good teams, and so the defending state champions are our incredible story of the day. And so now I think we've got Mr. John Henry coming in here. I'm going to wave him in if I can, if he looks this direction here in just a moment, as he'll talk about all things City of Artesia government. No, I'm talking. Oh, yeah, so John's coming in. My producer's saying, hey, what are you doing? I didn't do a commercial break, but I'm going to have John join me, and then we'll do a commercial break as John gets settled in his seat. Hi, John. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm good. How are you?
You don't have Gene Dow today.
I don't. No, you look different.
I look different as Gene Dow. I can't morph into him. So Gene's out, and so he asked me to sit in the last couple of days. But good to have you this morning. And Jeffrey just reminded me I do need to run. I guess I need to run a commercial break, but wanted to bring you in and say good morning, and then we'll come back here in just a minute with John Henry, the mayor of the City of Artesia. So stay right there as we go to a commercial break.
Hi, I'm Dr. Keon at Carabelli Dental. Same-day smiles are what we do. My passion is helping patients chew, talk, and live with confidence. That's why I'm one of the few doctors in the U.S. who can create beautiful same-day smiles with the latest digital implant technology. This procedure is life-changing. Just ask Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean. I've been that voice that you've heard on the radio for most of my life, but I'm also a dad to 2 amazing kids. I've had a million reasons to smile, but in all my old pictures, I was never smiling. Truth is that Life of improper care and being dealt a bad hand genetically left me practically with no teeth. It affected everything from the way I ate, the way I talked, and of course how I interacted with people. And that's where Dr. Keon and Carabelli stepped in. They eased my fears. They explained every step of the process in a way that I could understand, and they made me feel almost like I was part of the team. And now, I can't stop smiling. I have so much more confidence, and I love looking in the mirror now. I can't explain how much of a difference Dr. Keon's dental implant process made for me.
Our team can help you find your smile too. Come see us at Carabelli Dental, 575-622-4455.
You've changed thousands of diapers, cut off hundreds of crusts, played hours of peekaboo and duck, duck, goose. But you'd do anything for your kids. That's why it's so important to protect them with life insurance from State Farm. State Farm agent Sandy Stockton will help make it easy and affordable to help you protect your family, no matter what the future holds. Because for the people you'd do anything for, life insurance could mean everything. Call State Farm agent Sandy Stockton in Artesia today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
21. It's not just a number, it's the law. The legal drinking age is 21, not 18. And if you get caught buying or serving alcohol to anyone underage, it's not just their problem, it's yours. Don't wreck your life. Do the right thing. You have too much to lose. Don't try to be cool. Instead, make a stand and do your part to eliminate underage drinking. The legal age is 21, not 18. A friendly reminder from the Eddy County DWI Prevention Program.
This is John.
Hey, my name is John Jackson.
He's not some actor. He's a steward of the land with a John Deere 3 Series tractor. John runs with us. Nothing runs like a Deere. Get a 3 Series tractor with 0% APR for 72 months at your John Deere dealer today. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 855-633-2316.
Stop by Pecos Valley Equipment in Artesia or Roswell, or visit us online at pecosvalleyequipment.com.
This is Dallas Cowboys football 2022.
In the gun, Prescott, inside handoff, Elliott.
Only heard here.
Bouncing right with a convoy to the 5, near the pylon.
All season.
Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott, 13 yards.
Sunday afternoon, it's your Cowboys and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Live from AT&T Stadium.
On this Dallas Cowboys radio network station.
Pregame 1:30, kickoff at 2:30 on Southeastern Mexico's official Cowboy station, 92.9 The Brand.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie.
Welcome back here to the Good Morning Artesia Show. Joby Hodling in for Gene Dow, and I've got the promised guest here with me, Mayor John Henry. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am okay.
Well, good.
I've been telling everybody that yesterday I did this here in the, I don't know if Gene has, Rush Limbaugh had the golden EIB microphone. This isn't golden, but
right.
I don't know what Gene calls it if he does it anywhere. But sitting in here in his spot, and I shared yesterday, and I just shared with you off air, a little intimidating. I mean, it's I get to do Bulldog sports, and so I'm somewhat familiar with how the station runs and these things, but I don't have a big soundboard in front of me when I'm doing Bulldog sports. I have a computer, kind of like what I see here, and there's another computer, and there's a lot of screens here, and so I'm just trying to make sure that I'm covering all the bases. But you are a busy man.
Yes.
I know you'll talk about this every week, but you've got a lot of things happening. And, of course, the hat that you're wearing today here on the radio is going to be for the mayor.
Absolutely.
Office.
Yeah.
So I know there was a city council meeting last night, and I think we can just dive right into that. You put a pretty detailed report. I was talking about it earlier in the 7 o'clock hour that I appreciate as a city. Of course, I don't live in city limits, but I'm right on the edge, and I'm here. I'm an Artesia.
Yeah, you're an Artesia.
I appreciate the things you put out there. I know my wife and I were just talking about this last night. Amazingly enough, we were utilizing the walking area around Eagle Draw. We've started that recently.
Yeah.
And we were walking along and talking, and I said that. I said, you do, I think, a really good job of letting the community know through one of the tools you have of many in social media. So I see your reports all the time about different things.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that because, like you said in your report last night, which I'm fixing to let you talk about in detail, you said there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of things goes on behind the scenes, and you were appreciating the folks that you work with.
Absolutely.
At the city. But go ahead and talk about the city council meeting, what all happened last night, and you can delve into that, all the stuff going on behind the scenes as well.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm glad you mentioned the draw, because we talk about that all the time. Gene and I have mentioned it a number of times, but it looks great. I mean, we're getting a lot of comments that the draw hadn't looked this great in a long time, all those things. I know Byron's group is working really hard still on the trees. Collins is out there quite regularly, getting those trees back in shape. Unfortunately, we're going to lose some of them because they just went too long of not getting that help they needed. So we'll lose a few, probably have to bring a few in and everything else. But it's really nice. I run the draw either every morning or every night, and it's fun to see everyone out there. There's a lot of people utilizing it, and it's a great space, good spot for the community, and we're always glad to have it. But yeah, last night.
But before you go to last night, I had one question about the draw.
Okay.
And this is just going to show my ignorance on the subject, but since we've started using it recently, I've paid more attention. I drive by there all the time, like most Artesians do, utilizing the one-ways.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that on one end there's a big sign that says sponsored by. I believe it's Navajo Refining.
Yeah.
Are there more? Is that open to companies to sponsor and kind of utilize, or what is the plan? Or are there any plans? Is it just the city handles it except for that one? I mean, does Navajo handle that little stretch? Or?
No, I think they helped us They did that stretch. They made it beautify it, I guess you would call it. Added a lot of
stuff.
Yeah, it looks really sharp on that side. We're working. We've got some other ideas on how to extend that path maybe all the way to JC Park. So going up 26th.
Holy smoke.
Yeah, catch JC Park, and then we've even have bigger plans to come around. So, there's a lot of folks in town that run, bike, walk, really need that distance. And cross country with my daughter, when she ran cross country, it's really hard for them to build those miles, because even on the draw, you're stopping every little bit because of streets. Yeah. If there's a car, you got to stop. And so we're trying to build in some of those paths to where maybe someone could get a good run, a good bike. And if you could go under that bridge right there, Finn's, and hit all the way to JC Park, that's a pretty good distance. So
that would be a good distance.
There are some big plans, and I'll go over some more things that we're trying to get done here in a minute. But really exciting, because I think the draw is a great place to start, and it's so heavily utilized. We're really happy to see that. So, I put a Facebook out last night, and the meeting was really long. We were probably close to an hour and 45 minutes, maybe close to 2, I don't remember. And nothing was one of those super exciting go-get type of deals we voted on, but all what we voted on is exciting because it was a ton of work to get to where we were last night. And I'll give you some examples. Like we redid the let's see, where was it? Anyways, we're redoing the development piece of our ordinances. Gosh, I lost all the words. So you're doing better than me, and I do this often. Well, not as often as you, though. But so what we're trying to do is make it easier for developers to come to Artesia to develop. And why is that important? I think I've mentioned it a number of times. Artesia has to grow a little bit. Our costs continue to grow no matter what. Even if the city was to stay the same, your cost is going to grow, right? Wages are going to go up, cost of goods are going up, everything goes up. So in order for us to keep up, you have to create more GRT. It's either that or raise taxes. Well, obviously, I don't want to raise taxes, and our group doesn't want to raise taxes. So how do you generate these extra GRTs or extra property tax? Well, you grow. And developers, when you're talking to developers, they haven't really, if you look at Carlsbad, they've developed really, really well lately. Hobbs has done an outstanding job of developing. Well, they put incentives in place. They put packages in place. They're really working with developers to get him going. Well, one piece to us was if you had a piece of property and you divided it, you had to wait 5 years to divide it again, which really hurt our development because a lot of developers said, well, we're not going to do that because that ties us. So now we've made a path where it's just a year. But then with even in that year, if you can come present to planning and zoning why we're redividing it, you're not going around the subdivision plan, you're not trying to get around anything, well, then we could divide it again possibly. So that helps developers look at us as, okay, now they're serious. They've actually put a development plan in place to where we can utilize our land the way we need to and continue to grow rather than, oh, now we got to wait 5 years. Well, we don't want to wait 5 years. We don't have 5 years to wait. Everything needs to happen now. The urgency, I keep telling people, you know, you're a mayor for 4 years, a city council member for 4 years. 4 years is really, really short. People think it's a long time, but it's really not, because a lot of these things take years to develop, and so we've got to get going. So that's one of the pieces that I'm really, really excited about, because we have to grow housing, both affordable housing and any kind of housing, but affordable, obviously, out there. Everybody understands that. What does that mean anymore? I think that's becoming a tough subject of what is affordable. I mean, when lumber's up the way it is, when all cost of goods, I mean, you know it as well as anyone, all cost of goods are up. So what is affordable? Well, that's another tough subject, and how do you create that? I think there's going to have to be a lot more work done on it to bring those prices down a lot. But if we can get the land developed, then at least we have a shot at bringing in developers that maybe could help us with that.
Is there a lot of land in the city limits right now that you're kind of thinking about when you're talking about those developers, or is there a lot of vacant dirt around the city?
Yeah, there really is. If you look at it, you know, right in the middle of town, I'm guessing that's probably about 200 acres that could be developable. Right across from Walmart's another 180 to 200, I would guess, all within city limits. You got Chase Farms right behind Tractor Supply, probably another 204 acres, I think.
That's in city limits?
In city limits. So you're probably looking at 600 to 700 acres of land within the city limits already that is developable land. We just have to help those folks develop. How do we get that going? And so that's really what we're working on. This was just a small piece of, well, let's fix this ordinance so we can start on the next piece. And that next piece has already started, but we had to get this one in place first. So
you said 200 acres in the middle of town. Is there a 200-acre piece, or is it scattered around?
Yeah, no, if you look at like Yates Farms, I think Yates Farms is about 200-ish acres, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So yeah, right there, we go Walmart all the way to the pool and all the way up to Ritchie. So there are some big pieces of land in town that, you know, if we could help those guys anyway, and they say, oh, okay, now we see a path that makes it a little more, because, you know, even with the little pieces, you know, I like to build and I like to develop, and working with some folks in town that are a lot smarter than me in the development piece, they'll do the numbers and we'll be $10,000 off making it work. Well, if we could get some of these incentives or some of these things we've talked about, if we could make that work for the developer, that could be 10 lots, which doesn't sound like a lot, but 10 lots are 10 houses. If you do 10 houses 4 or 5 times, all of a sudden you've made a difference. And there's even a lot more of those pieces around town, 3 acres here, 3 acres here, 4 acres here. And so if we could pick those pieces up, which really the incentives would help those, because those are so tight on the budget. If you could pick up a couple thousand here or there, it makes that a reasonable project.
Well, talk a little bit about that. So what, I guess, for lack of a better term, some red tape was taken care of last night from developing, not having to wait so long to split up acreage.
Yeah.
What are some of the incentives that you're talking about for developers?
Well, we're kind of in between things right now, right? If you look at Hobbs does a by-the-door incentive to where they would pay back the builders per square foot for every house they build. Roswell does a lot of the same thing, more per the house. What I'm super interested in is what could we create for Artesia that might be more of a per lot. So what we need in Artesia are lots. We're running out of lots to build. If you talk to some of the big builders in town, they're worried of, hey, at some point we're out of land. So how do we create those lots? So that's what I'm super interested in is how do we build, take Hobbs, take Roswell, Carlsbad doesn't really have one, but there's a couple other examples around the state, and say, okay, all of those work. How do we make one that works for Artesia to get accomplished what we want to? And what we have to do is put that plan in place. Then, of course, we got to send it to the state and say, hey, is this okay? Does this pass? And the second it passes, then we can get that going. But we're really looking at the development side, not as much on the housing side.
When you say send it to the state, what is that, the legislature or who?
No, we would send it, most likely we would send it first to the Attorney General to make sure that there's no rules being violated. We're all on the up and up, because obviously whatever you put in place, you want to make sure is is legal, right? We're not trying to do anything. So everything's got to go up there. They take a look at it, and if they were to say, yep, this is all fits within the state statutes, you're good to go, then we could execute it.
And what you're talking about there on a per lot basis as compared to Roswell and Hobbs,
Yeah.
where they're paying. And when you say that, there's an incentive, monetary incentive to these builders. Use Hobbs as the example. If a builder comes in and builds 20 homes or has a plan to build 20 homes on 20 lots, and they're going to be X number of square foot, average, say 2,000 square feet apiece.
Yeah.
The city then, you said per door, so, and it's a square foot, so they're incentivizing monetarily for those 2,000 square foot homes?
Right. Yep. So they're coming back and saying, okay, and it depends on what side. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into their deal, but okay, this house, you built it for 2,000 square foot. It's worth X amount of dollars to the city, bam, and they just write the check to the builder once it's completed, not before, but after completion.
So once, not sold necessarily, but
Not
once
sold,
it's
just
completed,
completed.
the builder actually gets money
Yeah.
for building that home.
Yeah.
And the same thing's happening in Roswell. They've got something like that, so
Like
Hobbs and
that,
Roswell
yeah.
to build. And here in Artesia, so you explained it, but I'm going to ask a question about it anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
you're looking as the mayor to put something into place per lot.
Per lot, yeah.
So as a builder develops, let's say they've got 10 acres and they're going to put 20 half-acre lots.
Mm-hmm.
Once they have that subdivided, that's where the city would then say, okay, in your plan or in your mind,
Yeah.
it's okay, now you have 20 lots, we're going to incentivize you X number of dollars per lot once it's subdivided, instead of waiting for the house to be built?
Yeah, once it's divided and in place. So once they've put the roads in, the sewer, all the stuff, that's when that, so just like the house, once it's completed, that would be my idea for the plan. Now, we're still in that stage of trying to build our plan, but my idea is that mainly these incentives, the whole goal is to drive that ultimate end price down, right? So whether it's on the upfront in a lot, so that brings the lot price down some, or is it at the end when it brings the house price down, trying to bring those home prices down back to what's affordable, right? And we're not talking monies that are going to take a $300,000 home to $200,000. I mean, that's not feasible. We're just trying to get folks to say, okay, it works. The numbers work. We could make a little profit, and we'll go ahead and do it, right? We're not talking big profits. I don't want people to think that government is incentivizing people to make big. It's just enough. Like I said, some of these deals are off $5,000 for the project to be viable for some people. So if we could take that and say, okay, this incentive, whatever the project is, maybe the incentive's worth 10. So your 5,000 loss became a $5,000 gain. Is that now worth it to you? Well, to some it might be. I mean, and these are arbitrary numbers, but
Right.
the goal is to make these projects to where, okay, we'll make enough to go. Let's go, and to get it off center. Because if we don't, we're in a lot of we'll be in a lot of trouble at some point.
And I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to let you say it. What is the trouble? What happens when we're not building? How are we losing gross receipts tax?
Well, if you look at it, our town for the last 10 years, now gross receipt is very volatile. It goes up and down, up and down. But let's call it about a $2 million is where we've sat for a really long time, which for Artesia is fantastic. If you look at around the cities around us, we are way above average. We have way more amenities than most people do. So if we stay at that $2 million GRT, we know our wages have gone up exponentially. So trying to keep up with those. At some point, if you look at some of the cities around us, they've started to lose ground because they can't keep their GRTs up. So they're losing police officers, they're losing firefighters, they're losing city amenities because they can't keep what they need. They can't keep the monies in place to go. So you come to that tipping point of you stay at $2 million and these costs continue to rise. What are you going to have to give up to continue to operate? Obviously, police and fire, you're not going to give up. So you're going to start losing amenities. Well, what amenity are you willing to cut? Probably none, right? I mean, yeah, that's the goal, is you don't want to cut any amenities. And so, and not only that, it starts costing the city when everyone around us is getting the, Roswell, and I'm not saying we're getting a Texas Roadhouse, so please take that off the table. But Roswell just got a Texas Roadhouse. Carlsbad is getting stuff. Why are they getting those? Well, because they have the numbers. If you have the numbers, then all of a sudden these other restaurants, even mom and pop, start looking at us going, okay, there is a workforce there now. We all know their workforce is suffering. there's a workforce. We can start doing some extra things. Maybe we can be open later, longer, anything else, because we have an employee base. So that's the cost, I would say, is it costs the mom and pops because we still can't have a workforce. It costs the city because we have to have that GRT. And that property tax becomes a very nice, stable income. Property tax isn't very volatile. It's pretty stable. GRT, like I said, is up and down. So if you could create a bigger property tax, then all of a sudden your city has not a safety net, but you have a little bit more of a understanding of, okay, we're going to get this, so we're comfortable with wages being here.
And without those houses, the reason development is so important, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, is people don't move here. They can't, there's nowhere to live, so they live in Roswell, Park Harbor. They may be trying to work in Artesia or around Artesia with our various employers. But if they can't live here, then where are they eating out? Well, they're eating out where they live. Where are they spending their money? At Walmart or at the mom and pops? They're doing it in Roswell or in Carlsbad. So all of those things tie together. For those out there and saying, well, what's the big deal about development? Well, that's the big deal. That's what you're talking about, that we've got to have homes for people to live in. And people that already live here, maybe they now build a new home and they either sell their existing or they rent it. That's another thing that we face in Artesia is the rental market has always been, at least in my experience over the last 20 years or so, has always been really tight. People are constantly looking for places to rent. And if we're not building new homes, freeing up other homes that can be bought either by or kept by the homeowner and they make them rentals, or they sell them to investors that make them rentals, or they sell them to somebody that needs to move here. All of those things tie together.
Well, and you're right on moving, and people forget that piece when they see a $400,000 house being, well, that's not affordable. Okay. But what if an artisan's building that? And what if they're moving out of a $250,000? They might be moving up. They might be changing. They might. There's all these changes, and that does nothing but benefit the housing market.
One more thing before we take our next break, and I'm gonna say this again, let you expand on it. You said the numbers are not there maybe for the restaurants and those things. You're talking about the numbers of people that live here and the numbers of people that are available to work in those establishments.
I'm talking number of people available to work. I mean, obviously, we had a restaurant for a long time, and I wouldn't think that it's changed very much. In fact, it's probably gone the opposite direction of getting staff is very, very difficult right now. I mean, it's hard, no matter what you're doing, restaurants, gas stations, they're all hurting for folks, and you see Help Wanted signs up everywhere, so.
Yeah, that's one of my deals is when I talk to people and I hear them say, I can't find work, I'm thinking, I don't know how that's possible. Everybody's hiring.
Everybody. So.
Right. All right, well, let's take a break, John. We'll come back and get some more intel on what happened last night at the City Council meeting. Pecos Valley News Update up next. We're also going to have the Eddy County News Report or Sports Report coming up, and Lou Dobbs, so stay right here.
Now for your Pecos Valley News Update, I'm Jared Cirillo. An Artesia man will spend the next dozen years in state prison after he pleaded no contest to second-degree murder. 24-year-old Tyler Kelly was sentenced this week for the killing of Marcelino Briceño in 2020 in Roswell. Roswell police had said Kelly shot Briceño after the pair engaged in what was described as an ongoing dispute over a woman. Kelly is also facing attempted murder charges in a separate case that alleges he opened fire on a car traveling south on US 285 near Artesia in May of 2020. Despite discount days at the New Mexico State Fair earlier this week, fairgoers are complaining in droves that the food is way overpriced this year. The food always one of the biggest draws at the state fair, but this year a fresh squeezed cup of lemonade will set you back $13. A cheeseburger, fries, and a soda will cost $18. The turkey legs are also going for $18. You're up to date. I'm Jared Cirillo reporting.
Hey, New Mexico. Experiencing issues keeping your office technology up to date with these crazy supply chain issues? Well, DSI is here to help. We've diversified our products and solutions to help your business not just survive, but thrive in any situation. Have your teams collaborate and share with high-def video walls and interactive smart panels. With free unlimited support, the fear of any new technology is a thing of the past. Contact DSI today to upgrade your workspace. www.dsinm.com.
It's time for the Eddy County Sports Report. Let's talk some volleyball. Last night, It was a bounce-back victory for the Artesia Lady Bulldogs, who over the weekend suffered their first loss of the season. Artesia lost on Saturday 3-1 to Mayfield, and then on the same day defeated Oregon Mountain in a 3-2 five-setter. Kimber Beltran had 11 kills there. Well, they had another one that went 5 last night. This was against Hobbs. Artesia wins that by a score of 3-2. 15-9 was the score in the 5th. Loving, meanwhile, moves to 6-6 on the season by rolling NMMI in a 3-0 sweep of the Falcons' next play at Dexter on Saturday. And the soccer score for you? How about boys soccer? Artesia 2, Carlsbad 0. Artesia is now 9-3 on the season. The sports report brought to you by DSI. Call DSI for all your office technology needs. I'm Eric Butler at KSVP Radio, AM 990.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Inflation's still running hot. Wall Street's biggest plunge in more than 2 years. Investors bracing for more severe rate hikes. Those stories next. Inflation's at its highest level in decades. Interest rates skyrocketing and a recession may be looming. And retirement accounts are especially vulnerable. As you consider steps to protect your future, call the precious metal dealers at American Hartford Gold. They're the highest rated firm in the field with an A+ rating. They can show you their suggestions for protecting your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. All it takes to get started is a short phone call, and they'll have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or inside your IRA or 401k. And if you call 866-611-1277 right now, tell them Lou sent you, and they'll give you up to $1,500 of free silver on your first qualifying order. So don't wait. Call 866-611-1277. That's 866-611-1277. Investors rattled after the worst day in the market in more than 2 years. Last month's inflation reading came in hotter than expected. That sparked a broad market sell-off that sent the Dow Jones Industrials tumbling more than 1,200 points. All 3 major indexes suffering the worst losses since June of 2020. Now less than a week away from the Fed's September meetings, investors are locked in on another 75 basis point rate hike. Federal Reserve leaders haven't been shy about their commitment to lowering record inflation that stands at 8.3% as of last month. Starbucks rolling out automated ordering to improve in-store efficiency. Starbucks is trying to reinvent itself based on customer habits and says it will be upgrading its coffee-making equipment as well. Honda releasing 10 all-electric motorcycles within the next 3 years, all part of Honda's plan to be carbon neutral by 2040. Please join me 3 times each weekday right here on this station. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Welcome back here to the Artesia Good Morning Artesia show. And we're going to have another weather update, and then we'll be back with John Henry. So stay tuned as we hear from Steve on the weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have a batch of moist air moving in from the south, and that might bring us some afternoon showers and thunderstorms today. Mix of sunshine and clouds, and afternoon highs in the mid to upper 80s. Some lingering showers and thunderstorms this evening. They'll wrap up by about midnight, down to the low 60s, and then we're back to sunny and dry weather on Thursday and Friday, upper 80s to low 90s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
All right, we're back here on the Good Morning Artesia show. Joby Hodling joined by the mayor, Mr. John Henry, and we were talking there off air. So before we get back, I'm going to let you talk about it a little bit, John, because I know you're like me, you're a sports fan.
Absolutely.
The Artesia Bulldog football team, they looking pretty good.
They do, yeah. It's been, if you're an Artesia Bulldog fan, it's been a great year so far. So,
yeah, not undefeated. We went over to Hobbs and had that high scoring affair and come up on the short end, but still a lot of excitement. And you were kind of like me. You were talking. You said during the Deming game, the homecoming game, if we get to 50, is it over at halftime? And I was pretty sure it was. Of course, Robbie and I were on air, and And we were talking about that, and it is a 50-point rule.
Right.
And I don't know how I feel about that. I've kind of bounced back and forth. What are your thoughts on the 50? Number one, let's talk about the 35-point running clock rule,
Right.
and then the 50-point kill the game rule. What are your thoughts on those?
You know, the one thought I have, and that's what I was saying off air. I think the entire time I've lived here, they've only done that one other time that I can kind of remember. And because my daughter's a Bulldog football fan freak too. She loved to go to the games with me. And so at halftime it ended, and we were like, so it's over? And it's kind of a bummer because you still have the band, you still have a lot of stuff, but people started leaving. And so I don't know that I love it ending at halftime, because there's a lot of neat halftime activities that we should watch and enjoy. And those kids worked really hard for those performances. And so I'd like it to bump back. Plus those, you know, even though you're behind, the boys deserve a chance to go out there and give it a shot. Was a pretty tough shot though at the first half, so I don't know, maybe.
Well, I tend to agree with that. I'm of the opinion that that these rules are part of the softening of America.
Yeah.
I will say this: people did start leaving at the game halftime, but really the crowd, for the most part, stayed intact, and it was a big crowd.
Yeah.
For Artesia, well, we have big crowds every game, of course, but Deming only brought a few. They might have had 50 or 75 or so. It seemed like, as I looked across the field to the stands over there, but the visitor side was almost full by the time the game was going. Flood of orange, and of course our side was full.
Yeah.
So that's a big crowd. It was homecoming, so that's to be expected, I guess. But that was a great crowd. But back to these 35-point run. When you get up by 34-5, the clock runs, and then the 50-point game ends. I don't like, for sure, the 50-point game end rule. I'm on the fence, I guess, a little bit about the 35-point game where the clock just runs, except for on a change of possession. That rule, I guess, just from a personal standpoint, I guess I could say I could live with it. I don't like the 50-point run rule, partially for what you said and for a lot of other reasons. Big thing to me is that other team can still get their full game in, and what it allows the team that's up by 50, in this case it was us, to do is let every player play.
And that's what I was going to say. I mean, when I was playing in high school, we didn't have the mercy rule.
Right, exactly.
And so I was fortunate enough to be on some decent teams, and it was great because then, you know, those second, third string kids get a lot of play time, get a lot of experience, and that's a lot of fun for them too. And so I get it. You know, it's tough on the other team, but when you get those other groups in there, it helps them get better. I mean, even if they're down by 50, you can still get better. Every play you play, in my opinion, now this is just me as a dad, not a coach. Maybe coaches disagree, but every play you play, you're going to get better. You're going to learn something about your team, and I don't know. I like those kids to be out there learning, and if you get beat, you're going to get beat in life too, and figure out how to handle it properly, and continue to fight, and not just have it end. So,
well, I know that I know. I think that part of the reasoning or part of the idea was that that there are coaches out there that won't play their backups, and they'll just run it up to 100 or something. But in my opinion, most coaches, probably 90% or more, would want their kids that aren't in varsity games a lot to get that playing time. So I'm not a proponent of it, but it happened, and it's happened.
Yeah.
The only other time I can remember it happening was, and I'm probably wrong on this, but my oldest son's senior year, they ended up beating a team. It was Portales by 50, and it ended. So
that very well could have been the game.
But it wasn't here, so it was in Portales. So if it was a game here, so there's probably there's probably more than that. I just don't remember them all, but. And like you said, when you and I played, I'm a little older than you, but you played not too long after I did. But those rules didn't exist. There wasn't any running clock.
No.
There wasn't any 50-point run rule, and so. But yeah, the Bulldog football team having a great season. Our volleyball team having a great season. Soccer teams are having great seasons.
Yeah.
It's great to be a Bulldog. I see that on a piece of paper over there, and that's what you say when you go into the field house. It's great to be a Bulldog, and people say it all over town. That's exciting. Well, let's talk about our town. We were talking about one of the things that you guys got accomplished last night. When you say you got it accomplished last night, I figure that means it was voted on by the council and passed, and that is the ordinance, or I guess maybe an ordinance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's changing the ordinance.
That allows people to break up their properties more than one time every 5 years.
Right. Yep. So that's the only change. Everything else we talked about is still in the works. But last night was just correcting our ordinance to make it a little more land user friendly is what we were shooting for.
What else went on last night? You said it was I guess maybe it was a little longer than normal meeting?
Yeah, a little longer than normal. Lots and lots of business. Some of these things, one of the things that we've been talking about quite a bit is, we have a lot of events in town, and a lot of reoccurring events that happen every year. And the process now is if it's your event, you got to go get all the approvals, then it's got to go to council. And, to me, I like everything streamlined the best we can. I mean, I guess that's business operators in general. I'm sure you're the same way. If we can streamline it, make a process easier, make it more user-friendly for the customer, which in this case is the citizens, do it. And so we're trying to streamline those events to where rather than all of them having to go to city council, if they're reoccurring, if they happen every year, department heads, as long as it's a unanimous sign-off on department heads, it can go. Because a lot of times what happens is, I forgot to get our event thing in place, and you miss the city council meeting, and so your event's within those 2 weeks, and it becomes a problem. So this makes it a little easier for folks to say, this happens every year, nothing changed, and as long as all the department heads, which when it comes to city council, it's the same process. All the department heads have unanimously signed off on it, and then we just say yes, for the most part. There's been very few, to my understanding, talking with the council where they've said no. So, if it is something new or if it's something now, if your event has liquor or there's other things, well, state statute makes that come to council. So there's really no changes there. It's for simple events that happen all the time. Streamline the process, make it easier for the user, so that we don't have these events where everybody's stressed out trying to figure out, it's this Saturday. Okay, well, now here's the process that we can get around it as long as it's an event that's happened before. So that's something we've been working hard on. It doesn't sound, again, it's one of those things that people are like, well, what does that matter? Well, I've already talked to 2 people that are really excited that have events on a regular basis. It makes it easier for them to get their things accomplished. So the end use is what the goal is. So
let me ask you this. So in the next hour, we're going to have folks here for the Yucca Blossom Trade Days.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an example of an event? It's out at the Eddy County Fairgrounds, so I don't know if the city is involved in that, but would that be an example?
That would be an example. That one's in the county, but yeah, that's an example. Lots of examples. There was a walk a couple weeks ago that happens every year. Red Dirt Black Gold isn't an example because it would have alcohol, so that would have to come no matter what. Gosh, now that you've asked me, I'm completely blanking on all the events we have.
Well, there's a lot of stuff
lots and lots of stuff that goes on. Lots of things that happen every year that aren't major events, and they just need to go quicker and make it easier for them. So.
Before you get into your next, because I do want you to be able to kind of wrap up whatever happened at the meeting last night, but you said it 2 or 3 times, so I'm going to ask because I don't know, and I'm curious.
Sure.
A lot of people may know the answer to this, but I don't. Department heads, how many are there?
Okay, so you've got the clerk, public maintenance, so one, let's see, you got Summer, Byron, Jim, the 2 fire chiefs, 6, and HR, so 6.
So 6 public, and so those folks, each on anything that's going to go happen in the city of Artesia, they all have to look at it, review it,
right?
Say my department is involved in this way, and then say, okay, we're on board, and they check mark or whatever, and then it goes to the next department head. Is that the
Yeah, and so obviously police and fire are going to take a hard look at it if you're going to do anything with streets or any kind of movement, safety. So they're some big sign off. Byron's a big sign off because if we're having to shut down roads, it's his department comes to roads. Jim would be a big sign off because he's going to deal with all the other rules that the city has. So, but police, fire, and Byron are really looking at safety, roads. So the reason it goes through them all is because each department has a
piece of the pie.
Yeah, and a different look at the pie. And so we want to make sure it's vetted very, very carefully and make sure we're safe in all events. And that's my point. I don't want to cut back on safety. I want to cut back on why does it need to go to council? Because if y'all have already looked at it, y'all are the experts. Council members, we're not the experts. Y'all are. So if we're comfortable with it, then it should be good to go.
All right. Well, what else went on last night? I know you had a Boy Scout troop there, and you can talk about that. But what else was city business last night?
City business, other things. That another one that some people aren't excited, but airport hangars. That's something we've been working on for a long time. Right now, if there's land out there to lease to build hangars, but it's only 5 years with I think so you can extend it 2 times, so 15 years total. What we're trying to do is extend it to 20 years. Reason that's important is when somebody's going to go and invest and build a hangar, which we desperately need, the banks don't want a 5-year lease. They want to see that 20. So that would help develop out at the airport. Some people might not think that's a big deal, but there's a lot of folks in town that have planes. There's a lot of folks that, in fact, in my real job, or the job that pays me money, I don't know how to describe it. I've got a lot of real jobs, but the one that apparently pays my bills, I've sold folks houses in Roswell simply because they had a place for their plane. Instead of they wanted to be here, but they had to have a place for the plane. We didn't have enough space for them, so it does have a big impact. Plus, it's a good thing to have here in town. Some extra space for that kind of stuff. So it doesn't affect anyone. It doesn't cost us anything. We also corrected the rates to make sure we're more competitive with everyone around us. It's not a big money windfall for us out there, but it does help generate the GRT, which is obviously a big goal.
So if someone builds a hangar, the city owns the land. The investor builds the hangar at their cost.
Right.
And then you set a lease. Who's leasing it? The city? Who's leasing that hangar?
They're leasing it.
They're leasing it.
Yeah.
Basically leasing the land that they built on. I'm sorry, I just
no. So yeah, they lease the land. So it's kind of like what we do in an industrial park. That piece of land is yours. Anything you put on top of it, and that was part of the discussion last night. So it's a good question to ask. Is in an industrial park, you lease a blank piece of land. Whatever you put on that land becomes the city's once your lease is gone. So when you leave, everything you've built on there is now city. So if you built a shop or an office or whatever, that becomes city property. So that's the same thing we discussed last night. So once this 20-year lease is up, can they take their hangar with them, or does it have to stay? And so that was our and we all, just like industrial park, well, it makes sense to say, well, no, you're leasing at such a low rate because your goal is to grow, right? The industrial park is to grow. Well, this would be to grow, so that would be your compensation for hopefully what you built on the property.
Okay. and so the owner of the airplane, they wanted to build that. They're leasing it back from the city, and their 20 years is up. Can they renew?
I'm sure there'll be a clause to renew, and I mean we have no interest in taking them. We just we needed longer lease terms for those bankers to want to
loan the money to the builder.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another piece of what you guys discussed last night. Any other stuff that you went through?
Yeah, a lot of other stuff. Chamber, which I won't go too deep into theirs. Y'all hear from them all the time. They do a great job. They had a long piece of showing us kind of what they've done this last year. It's pretty amazing. Talking back on the housing, which sort of involves the chamber, they had an economic development young man this summer kind of interned with them, and he did a housing study for us. And it was fascinating, everything that he kind of found out. To our point earlier, he called a lot of companies to see how many folks live outside of town and would like to live in town. So we have some pretty good numbers. So they've been very, very helpful in getting that information out to us. So
they had a good report.
Great report. The other thing in our we have a lot of department or committee reports, and in our infrastructure committee, we did a lot of work, and we've been doing a lot of work. We put a lot of money this year. We gave $1 million to Parks and Recreation, trying to get some things going. A lot of the things that we're working on that should hopefully be coming. Obviously, we talked already about the trees, dead trees on the draw. They've been working on that. Some big exciting projects coming up is a dog park. That's been a huge topic for a lot of folks. Want a dog park? I totally agree with them. I think we need something. A lot of cities there's gas stations that have a little dog park. I mean, it's tiny, but dog parks are a big deal. We're working on right now at a JC Park. If you go look at those awnings, man, they were in really bad shape. They were rusty. They were kind of dangerous. We've already got a bunch of those taken care of. Folks, go take a look at that, because it's shocking when you look at one we've done, then go look at the one next to it that we hadn't got to yet. It's a dramatic difference. So getting all those shelters done for us. Lots of work out on the ballparks out there. We're looking at disc golf. We're working with a couple different groups to try to get disc golf here. The great thing about disc golf, in my opinion, is Carlsbad has, I don't know if you call them championship courses. They have accredited courses, whatever you want to call it. And Roswell does too. And they have a ton of tournaments. And so all the disc golf people that speak that language, which I don't, I've played it a few times and it seems fun, but I'm not in that league. And they said if we could get the same kind of caliber, which they're not that expensive, then all of a sudden you become part of the tournament plan, schedule, circuit. Yeah. And they're bringing in 100 people on a weekend. Well, that's rooms they might rent, that's food they might eat, that's GRT that we're creating that would pay for the park pretty rapidly. So we're really trying to focus on stuff that could maybe bring in tournaments. Pickleball courts. Again, that's another group that came and talked to us. They go to pickleball tournaments everywhere. So how do we start trying to bring some of that stuff here? So we worked real hard on the pickleballs. There's cornhole and horseshoe stuff going on. Just lots of court resurfacing. We're taking one basketball court out and going to replace it with a sand volleyball court because there were 2 courts in this particular park. So that gives you different options on things to play. I'm pretty excited, and I know we're putting a lot of pressure on Byron and his team because this all falls under his department, but he's doing an exceptional job in keeping up with it, keeping us on track. I keep saying we've got the foot on the gas and we don't want to let up, but we also have to understand we don't want to press too hard. I mean, obviously, most folks know we had that water break this weekend, affected the restrooms at the Bulldog Bowl, and what a terrible time. I mean, you got homecoming, you had so much stuff going on. What a terrible time, but unfortunately. So that pulls them off to take care of some of those things. We're mowing, we're doing all that other. So there's all the other stuff they have to handle, plus this on top of it. So
they're busy.
They're busy. Be patient with them, but we've got a lot of great stuff coming, and Artesians should be excited for what we got coming around the corner.
I know we got to wrap this hour up, John, and you've got plenty of work to do, but before I let you go, I do want to ask one thing on the selfish side. Mm-hmm. I've heard that there might be somewhere down the road, we might have a, I don't know if it's going to be a pond or a lake maybe out at JC Park. Is that something that might possibly happen sometime in the future, or is that even in the planning stages at all?
We talked about it for a little bit, and then when numbers came in, they're pretty tough. Plus with the water usage and what the state's kind of demanding on water, it'll be an interesting discussion. It was discussed for a little while. It's kind of been put on the side for the second because of the numbers, but
okay.
But it is in the master plan. It is out there at JC Park. I mean, there is hope someday.
All right, well, I'll keep that hope alive in my own mind then.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry I did on that note, darn it.
That's all right. That's okay. Well, John, thank you for coming in this morning as always.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being patient with me, filling in for Gene, and I guess we'll see you around town.
Yeah.
I know you'll be back on the radio.
I'll be back. Thanks for doing it. I know what you got. It's a tough job, so thanks for filling in.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a break. Stay tuned here on Good Morning Artesias. We got another hour coming up.
It's the Celebration Grocery Sale at Fens Country Market in Artesia. Food Club cheese, assorted 32 ounces, chunk or shredded, $5 each. Food Club salsa, assorted 15.5 ounces, 2 for $3. On the Border tortilla chips, assorted $2.98 each. And Food Club cereal, assorted 28 to 32 ounces, 2 for $6 at Fens Country Market in Artesia. And right now, Pepsi Select Flavors 12-pack cans, 3 for $13 at Fens Country Market in Artesia. Plumbing, air conditioning, heating, gas lines, sewer jetting, refrigeration, ice machines, RO systems, water softening, sheet metal fabrication, duct cleaning, residential and commercial. Crouch does it all. When you find yourself in need of assistance, give the experts at Crouch Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning a call. The Crouches know quality matters, and they'll find the best solutions for your situation. That's 575-746-3782 for Crouch Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning, serving all of Eddy County since 1967.
It's Chevy truck season at Guy Chevrolet Company in Artesia. The Chevy Silverado is as durable as it is dependable with its proven power and capability along with advanced technology. And this month you can make it your own with a $1,000 accessory allowance when you purchase or lease a Silverado 1500 or HD. So come on in and see us today at Guy Chevrolet Company on the corner of 1st and Main in Artesia or at guychevy.com.
making a great deal better every day.
Your Artesia Bulldogs are blazing through the season, and coming up this Friday, the boys are back on the road, headed to Cleveland High to take on the Storm. KSVP AM and FM and KSVPTV.com are your source for all things Bulldogs. Join Joby Hodling and Robbie Ballou for audio-only coverage beginning with the pregame at 6:30 and kickoff at 7. Bulldogs versus the Storm of Cleveland High. Friday night beginning at 6:30 on KSVP AM and FM and audio coverage at KSVPTV.com. Southeastern New Mexico's sports authority, then, now, and always.
Welcome back here on the Good Morning Artesia show. Glad you're joining us here. Joby Hodling in for Gene Dow, and we've got another hour coming up. Got a lot of information coming from various places in our next hour, as we have Tammy Neal going to be in with the Yucca Blossom Trade Days that is coming up this weekend out at the Eddy County Fairgrounds. We'll, of course, have Aaron Irving in his report, the stock market report. Try to get that out of my throat properly and out of my mouth. And then we'll wrap up the hour with Raylene Bean. But news coming up right now.
I'm Rich Thomason. First came the procession. A solemn event steeped in history as Queen Elizabeth's flag-draped casket, resting atop a horse-drawn gun carriage, is slowly, carefully moved from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall in London, where a service was held and where the Queen will lie in state for 4 days, giving the public a chance to pay its respects to the only monarch that most of the mourners ever knew. As the economy slows down and Americans suffer inflation that's running near a 40-year high, the White House and its Democrat allies celebrate.
The soul of America is vibrant, the future of America is bright, and the promise of America is real. It is real. It is real.
President Biden celebrating passage of the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, Democrat spending bill that most, if not all, economists insist will do nothing to reduce inflation. Republican Senator John Thune of South Dakota sees no cause for celebration.
8.3% year-over-year increase in inflation, like that's some sort of victory. And I just would remind people that when President Biden took office in January of 2021, the inflation rate was 1.4%.
And there is further confirmation this morning of the stubborn nature of the inflation that the Biden team originally called transitory. According to the government's Producer Price Index, inflation at the wholesale level soared 8.7% in August from a year earlier, suggesting that prices will keep on rising in the coming months. Checking Wall Street now, the Dow is up 115 points, the Nasdaq ahead 74, and the S&P 21 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, I'm Al Abaroa, founder of Knight Strategic Wealth. Inflation is a problem, markets are volatile, and the risk of running out of money in retirement is real. That's why I love annuities, and you should too. Your financial advisor doesn't want you to know that with our annuity strategy, when the stock market goes up, you earn a market-linked return that locks in every year, and when the stock market goes down, your annuity won't lose a dime. There are no unnecessary fees, and it works for your investments, money at a brokerage firm, or even money at a bank. It's simple, it's safe, and you should only invest if you learn the facts, and that's why savvy investors work with us. Want to learn more? Text FREE to 833-898-0500, and we'll send our retirement readiness kit directly to your phone right now. If you want to use safe, low-fee annuities to build a retirement portfolio that will go up with the market and never lose money, get our retirement readiness kit today and see how this strategy can help secure your future. Text FREE to 833-898-0500. Text FREE to 833-898-0500.
Making his first trip abroad since the start of the pandemic, China's president is in Kazakhstan, the start of a 3-day overseas trip. The BBC's Stephen McDonnell in Beijing.
Until now, China's leader has remained at home during the coronavirus pandemic. This served as a message to Chinese people that they should not travel overseas. However, Xi Jinping's trip to Kazakhstan has raised questions about the likelihood that the government might soon start to ease COVID restrictions. Pope Francis is in Kazakhstan at the same time, leading to speculation of what would be a historic meeting between the two. Xi Jinping will also travel to Uzbekistan, where he's due to meet Russia's President Vladimir Putin on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit.
With a freight rail strike on the horizon, that could come on Friday. Both sides in the dispute will be meeting today with Labor Secretary Marty Walsh in Washington. News and analysis, townhall.com. The prosecutor who led the Clinton Whitewater probe has died.
A former federal appellate judge, Ken Starr, will be remembered most for his legal work in heading the criminal investigation that led to the impeachment of Bill Clinton. Starr's family said he died at a hospital Tuesday of complications from surgery. According to his former colleague, attorney Mark Lanier, Starr had been hospitalized in an intensive care unit in Houston for about 4 months. Ken Starr was 76. Norman Hall, Washington.
The FBI and Massachusetts State Police are among agencies investigating the explosion of a package at Boston's Northeastern University. Minor injuries suffered by the man who opened the parcel that arrived at a building on campus. There was a second package as well, but that one did not explode. It was rendered safe by a police bomb squad. Once again on Wall Street this hour, the Dow is up 88 points, the NASDAQ 61 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Today's KSVIP is Aaron Irving. Aaron is celebrating a birthday today. He has Oakley and Irving Wealth Management and LPL Financial Services in Artesia and Carlsbad. Aaron, we appreciate all that you do for your clients and your friends. Thanks for the great and awesome slideshows on your market report and for always telling the better jokes. Today, Aaron, you're going to receive a flower from Lovebud Floral and KSVP. Today's KSVIP, Aaron Irving.
They see me mowing my front lawn. I know they're all thinking I'm so white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy? Look at me, I'm white and nerdy. I wanna roll with the gangsters, but so far they all think I'm too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. I'm just too white and nerdy. Really, really white and
First in my class there at MIT. Got skills, I'm a champion of D&D. MC Escher, that's my favorite MC. Keep your 40 out, just have an Earl Grey tea. My rims never spin, to the contrary. You'll find that they're quite stationary. All of my action figures are cherry. Stephen Hawking's in my library. My MySpace page is all totally pimped out. Got people begging for my top 8 spaces. Yo, I know pie to 1,000 places. Ain't got no grills, but I still wear braces. I order all of my sandwiches with mayonnaise. I'm a whiz, a minesweeper, I can play for days. Once you see my sweet moves, you're gonna stay amazed. My fingers moving so fast, I'll set the place ablaze. There's no killer rap I haven't run. At Pascal, well, I'm number 1. Do vector calculus just for fun. I ain't got a gap, but I got a soldering gun. Happy Days is my favorite theme song. I can sure kick your butt in a game of ping pong. I'll ace any trivia quiz you bring on. I'm fluent in JavaScript as well as Klingon. Alright, I sing on.
See me roll on my Segway. I know in my heart they think I'm white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy? Look at me, I'm white and nerdy. I like to roll with the gangsters. Although it's apparent I'm too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. I'm just too white and nerdy. How'd I get so white and nerdy?
I've been browsing, inspecting X-Men comics, you know I call
Again, Gene's theme song, White and Nerdy. Weird Al Yankovic. Enjoy.
Writable media, I edit Wikipedia. I memorize Holy Grail really well. I can recite it right now and have you ROTFLOL. I got a business doing websites. While my friends need some code, who do they call? I do HTML for them all. Even made a homepage for my dog. Yo, I got myself a fanny pack. They were having a sale down at the Gap. Spend my nights with a roll of bubble wrap. Pop, pop, hope no one sees me. Getting freaky. I'm nerdy.
Weird Al Yankovic has all kinds of funny songs out there, and I think we're going to get the weather report here in just a moment. So stay tuned here on our Good Morning Artesia. Again, Joe will be hodling in here for Gene Dow, and I expect Gene to be back maybe tomorrow or the next day. So thank you for your patience with me here on the show as I've tried to navigate through the things and that involve making this work. So coming up next is going to be the weather. Steve Hamilton will bring us that. And then we have the Yucca Blossom Trade Days to talk about.
Yeah, like I said, with the redistricting.
And again, let me look here. I think
this district was a +2 off.
Get that fixed. One of those things that I think I've got to change every time so that we've got the right show going here. But The weather is up next, so stay tuned.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have a batch of moist air moving in from the south, and that might bring us some afternoon showers and thunderstorms today. Mix of sunshine and clouds, and afternoon highs in the mid to upper 80s. Some lingering showers and thunderstorms this evening. They'll wrap up by about midnight, down to the low 60s, and then we're back to sunny and dry weather on Thursday and Friday, upper 80s to low 90s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
All right, so we're back here on the Good Morning Artesia show. Like I said, we've got another full hour here. The 9 o'clock hour is coming in here in a bit. We'll be expecting Tammy Neal to be in and talk about the Yucca Blossom Trade Days that's coming up this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, out at the Eddy County Fairgrounds. And then, of course, we'll have Aaron Irving in his stock market report here on his birthday. And you've heard that he is the KSVP of the day, and it's his birthday, so we'll talk to him about that, plus get the stock market report, the opening report, and then, of course, Aaron's on every afternoon with the closing stock market report. And I know yesterday was a big down day out there in that realm, and so I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about that. And then we'll finish up the hour with CVE. Raylyn Bean is scheduled to be in here. We'll expect her to kind of wrap up the hour for us. Right now, expectations for the day is Hobbs at 85. They're high. Pretty skies out there for them. Roswell 87 high with partly cloudy skies. Carlsbad 89 with clear blue skies. And Artesia right here in our beautiful hometown 87, our projected high for the day with bright clear skies. And the clouds that I could see as I look out here at the out the windows here at KSVP radio studio, as I see a few clouds out there, but boy, what a pretty day. I see a breeze is blowing a little bit as the American flag across the street there is being whipped around a little. Not a strong breeze, but just a breeze I'm sure is keeping it nice and cool out there. So we had a lot of great information if you missed it with the mayor, John Henry, and he talked about what's going on in the city and specifically some things that they got accomplished last night in adjusting an ordinance. I don't know if adjusting is the right word. I can't remember what word he used. Changing it basically that would allow developers to do more with land quicker. And I've been involved in real estate for a while, and so I'm no expert on it at any stretch, but I knew what John was talking about, and it does help if there's less red tape. I think everyone would agree that no matter what you're doing, if you got less red tape, it makes things easier. And again, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If there's less that term red tape, meaning things that make it more difficult to do whatever it is, anytime government can lessen that burden, can lessen that red tape, I see that as a big positive. And so, and I would think that is a pretty easily agreeable statement. Now, I think that there's out there that would argue that government likes to have red tape. They like to be involved, and to a certain extent, that probably is true. But for the most part, I think most people, if you individually, they would say less red tape, the better. And so the city got that done last night. They also, and I failed to do this. I don't remember if John got to this or not. I kept asking him questions saying it would be the last thing I would ask, but had Cub Scout troop there in the chambers last night, the city chambers, and they were there. John said they were there just to observe city government, and so that's another thing that is here in Artesia for our youth, the Cub Scouts, those young men and their leader, and probably others, maybe parents, whatever, but they were there for the city council meeting. And John did say that it was a little longer than normal, and as I read on his on the Facebook post, it kind of updates. And again, I appreciate John as he does that. He puts a lot of posts out there just for the public to see what's going on with the city government. But he did that last night after the meeting and said it was a little bit longer than normal. I'm going to share something here that I've shared with people just in my daily walk, through life, but I'm going to share it here on the radio. I remember the first meeting that I went to for the city council was back in the 90s. I was fresh out of college and had moved back to Artesia, and I was involved in a company. I was running a business for a restaurant franchisee, and had a lot of stores here in southeast New Mexico and in the panhandle of Texas, and that I was running. And I'll say I had the opportunity to go to a city council meeting, and then in fact a couple more after that, as we were doing some building, the company that I worked for, and I was the guy that got to oversee all of that and the construction and things. So I got to work with the city government, and I'll be honest, back then, this was in the 90s, I wasn't impressed back then. I got to see some things in the city council meetings that I think were pretty contentious, and I won't dig into those items here, but that's just part of it. Sometimes it gets contentious, and John said something that I can appreciate. He said that if the city department heads all sign off on whatever it is that is being presented to the city, whether a change in an ordinance or something getting approved that is going to happen within the city limits here in Artesia, the city council, the department heads all have to look at it, review it, and of course, as he pointed out, the police and the fire probably maybe scrutinize those things more than anybody, but just because for safety reasons, and also the city infrastructure department, well, just all the department heads. But he said, what John said was that if the department heads all sign off on them, then it's a vote that goes the way that the department heads want it to go. And a lot of times in government, that doesn't happen. So that's another thing that I think is a positive maybe about the city of Artesia. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be discussions and there shouldn't be opposition if there's valid opposition, but in my history, which is limited, and it was back in the 90s, and I've been to city council meetings since then, but I just remember as a young man just out of college and running a company for a business that was located in Texas, but we had multiple stores in New Mexico as well. And I just remember thinking, wow, they just argued and argued. And to me, I thought it was a little bit much. But that does happen, and there's a place for that. If there's things that need to be discussed, they should be, and that's part of our government structure. Jeffrey Curtis is joining me here. What are your thoughts on that?
I haven't attended an Artesia City Council meeting, but when I was at 106.5, I attended every Roswell City Council meeting.
And 106.5 being a sister station in Roswell, here at the Pecos Valley Broadcasting Company.
Same format, but for those Roswellians. And
wait a minute, Roswellians? I've never
Roswellians.
Heard that. Okay.
You've never lived there.
No, I have not lived in Roswell. I've been there.
Yeah, me too. No, both. But they were very informative. I didn't realize, like you had said, that they really go into a lot of detail with each city ordinance, and the committee heads of who they involved come in, and the bigger things you hear from every single department chief. And those committee meetings, you could have your input and talk to those on the committee to help sway their vote, or let them know what their neighborhood, what their needs were. And there were a lot of those discussions when they redid their water system that took. And so I know that it's really informative if people get out there, and it's really good that we have a mayor like John who tries to get all the information out there as he can so that our citizens are informed of everything that we're doing with the city.
I'll say this about getting information out there. As a person that's been involved in a lot of businesses and have been involved in churches, it's amazing to me, and I'm throwing the human race under the bus here, not just Artesians, but everybody. It's amazing to me. You can put stuff out there and put it out there, and put it out there in every form possible, and you still have people say, I didn't know that was happening.
Yes.
And I pick on us as church members because it seems like that happens all the time. You have bulletins, you have mailers, we've got texts now, we've got websites, we've got all these things that we're trying, and the same thing with the city.
Right.
John utilizing social media like he does for the city, and then I'm going to talk about the Yucca Blossom Trade Days here in just a minute. Not sure if Tammy's going to make it in, but we're going to talk about that. It's coming up this weekend. But you put all this information out there, and then people still miss it. And so, sometimes you scratch your head and say, now, how did that happen? Because you got it all out there in a million places, but it's just how it is.
Right. And with a lot of these city issues and things that affect our community, too many people take the opinion of what people post on social media without ever actually looking at what the ordinance and how it affects you. They just believe someone else's take on it. And that's not really the information that you need. You need the information to make your own decision. And so it's very good that info is out so you get the clear picture, like the 20th and Grand. When that was starting, there were all sorts of things that was going to take and do. Whereas John comes in and had the city infrastructure come in and explain everything they're doing.
All right, so that's nice to get that information and know what's going on.
Yeah.
If you do pick up on it, if you see it or hear it. Well, we're going to go ahead and talk about the Yucca Blossom Trade Days event. It's a summer extravaganza, and I'm looking at their social media page. It's the Summer's End extravaganza, Yucca Blossom Trade Days, Summer's End extravaganza. That's Saturday, September 17th, and Sunday, September 18th, and they're going to have all kinds of things going out there. It's 9 to 5 on Saturday, 11 to 4 on Sunday, out at the Eddy County Fairgrounds, 3204 South 13th Street, here in Artesia. And on their Facebook's page, I'm looking at one of their posts. It says the first 50 people receive a goodie bag both days. So if you're one of the first 50 there Saturday, you get a goodie bag. If you're one of the first 50 there Sunday, you get a goodie bag. And so if you're looking for something to do this weekend, those events are very fun. There's a lot of food and a lot of vendors and a lot of things. You can get your early Christmas shopping going if you haven't already started. I know at my house it's already been started. My wife Christmas shops starting in January for the following December, which I appreciate because, again, she's organized and she takes care of those things and really does a good job for us. But if you haven't started yet, what a great place to start. The Yucca Blossom Summer's End Extravaganza out at the Eddy County Fairgrounds. That's this weekend, September 17th and September 18th, Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. And remember, the first 50 people each day that arrive at the Yucca Blossom Extravaganza, Summer Ending Extravaganza, you're going to get a goodie bag. So go out there early and spend the day with those vendors and all that food and all that fun. All right, we're going to take another break here on the Good Morning Artesia show. When we come back, we'll get with Aaron Irving and the stock market report.
Sometimes that dog barking is an Artesia Bulldog preparing for victory. Most of the time, however, it's probably just the family pet asking for attention. Artesia Animal Clinic provides a full range of services for just about any size pet or animal. Our new clinic has been expanded to provide better quality of care, including an in-house laboratory, radiology, surgery, herd health, and more. So the next time your pet looks like they could use some extra care, come by Artesia Animal Clinic in our newly remodeled and expanded facility at 110 West Mahone Drive.
When I was young, I thought I had forever to prepare for retirement. But as the years went by, retirement got closer and closer, and, well, I wish I'd have started saving 10 years earlier.
How you spend your retirement depends on what you do now while you're still working. We've helped a lot of area seniors prepare for retirement. Stop in and see us about saving for yours. Western Bank of Artesia, we're big on you. Member FDIC.
Kane Electrical Supply is your #1 distributor when it comes to the top-of-the-line inventory. Kane Electric carries name brands such as Appleton, Burndy, Fluke, Cooper Lighting, Hoffman, Phillips Lighting, iDeck, Klein Tools, and Square D. Kane Electric has your professionals and will assist you with any information you may have on electrical supplies. Kane Electric delivers on location too. Come by Kane Electric today in Artesia at 1911 North Roselawn.
With the price of gas really high, you may be looking for a more economical car or truck. Well, look no further than Artesia Ford Sales. Artesia Ford Sales is known for their selection of Ford certified pre-owned vehicles. And right now, that reputation means Artesia Ford is able to have in stock a great selection of gas-sipping vehicles for you to consider. With certified pre-owned, you can rest assured your purchase is top quality and qualifies for a much lower interest rate than a typical used car. So save money on gas and save money on your monthly payment with a quality certified pre-owned car from Artesia Ford Sales.
This is Dallas Cowboys football 2022.
In the gun, Prescott, inside handoff, Elliott.
Only heard here.
Bouncing right with a convoy to the 5, near the pylon.
All season.
Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott, 13 yards.
Sunday afternoon, it's your Cowboys and the Cincinnati Bengals. Live from AT&T Stadium on this Dallas Cowboys radio network station.
Pre-game 1:30, kickoff at 2:30 on Southeastern Mexico's official Cowboy station, 92.9 The Brand.
Welcome back here to the Good Morning Artesia show, and Aaron is joining us via the Zoom call, Aaron Irving. And Aaron,
good morning.
Okay, good. I can hear you. I had the right buttons pushed.
All right, very good.
So happy birthday.
Thank you.
And you're not.
I figured I would have a slideshow of being old.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, how many? As I ask children. You're not a kid, but I'll ask you the same way. How many are you, or do you care to share that information?
I'm 49 now,
okay.
So 1 year before colonoscopy year.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm 51. I skipped colonoscopy year, I guess.
Oh,
if
I can do that, that'd be great.
I don't know. Maybe foolishly I skipped it. I don't know that I have any problems, so I haven't had. I guess 50 is kind of that magic year for that touchy subject.
Yeah, I had my annual checkup this year, and my doctor said, well, you need to go ahead and just schedule your next appointment after you turn 50. I'm like, uh-oh. So,
I know what that means.
I know what that means.
So the poor guy trying to get out of the couch, and then I can't see that guy. Who is that? Is that a skid or something?
That's a grumpy old man to get off my lawn.
Get off my yard. You know, Aaron, I'll share this before we get into the jokes or anything you might want to share this morning. At my house, we have pretty big yards. We have some pretty big yards, and my wife this year, we both discussed, we have fences around them, and they were covered in grapevines. So our yard was kind of enclosed. I mean, you could see into our yard, and we have a big pond in our front yard. And anyway, the fences have been there probably, well before we bought the place. And these grapevines, just over the years, they're just heavy, and so the fences needed to be replaced. And so Pam told me last year, she said, we got to do something. So we started rebuilding fences and taking that, cutting the grapevines back and rebuilding fences. And we took the fence down in our front yard, and I thought it looked great without a fence. And I said, let's not build a fence. Let's leave it down. And I think my wife was the get off my yard person, because she said, no, I want to put a fence back up. So we did, but it's funny that get off my yard. That's funny. Yeah. Well, so do you have any? I know that you usually do, and I'll tell you right now, I have my daughter, who is our youngest. She's now a college freshman. She's at our alma mater at West Texas A&M. I'll throw in my alma mater there. I guess it's a plug for them. Anyway, she's at school. So we're empty nesters now. Pam and I, my wife, are empty nesters. But my daughter, and I can't remember when she gave it to me. I think it was a couple years ago, and I believe it was for Father's Day. So I didn't get the normal. I think the normal thing that people think you get for Father's Day is like a tie or a pair of socks or something. Faith got me a book, and she's a big reader. She loves to read. She's got hundreds and hundreds of books, of which she only was able to take a portion to college with her because, of course, dorm room and stuff like that. So her bedroom at our house is still full of books. Anyway, she got me a book of jokes, and it was John Wayne. It was John Wayne, and I think the title is Dad Jokes. So she thought it was funny for me to get a dad joke book. And Aaron, I was going to bring it this morning. I was going to have some good jokes, some good dad jokes, and I forgot it.
Oh, it's just not meant to be, I guess.
Well, I guess so. I guess so. And I even reminded myself last night. I even reminded myself this morning while I was doing my normal morning routine early. Don't forget to get that book. It was up in our bedroom, and I forgot to bring it. So no jokes for me today, unless I just remember them off the top of my head. But what do you got for us today?
Well, I got a few birthday jokes for you.
Awesome.
Here.
Great.
I like birthdays, but I think too many can kill you.
I would say that is 100% accurate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now this one, imagine what goes through a birthday cake's mind when it's set on fire and then eaten by the hero that saved it.
So I don't know, but that's a good question. What in the world would a birthday cake be thinking when that happens? Because the hero that saves it blew out the candles, but then starts eating it.
Yeah. You're like, I'm saved. Oh no, it's a candle.
That's pretty funny.
Why are birthdays good for you?
Why are birthdays good for you?
Yes.
I don't know. Why are they?
Statistics show that people who have the most birthdays live the longest.
Good statistic. That's good to know.
Yeah.
And
that's science right there.
That is I'm going to be careful what I say here. I'm not going to say what I'm going to say. I'm just going to say that's good science.
We don't want to try to get anything removed from YouTube for.
Well, what I was going to say had to do more with political views, and so I was going to be, and I know you and Gene banter a lot about political views, and I like to as well. But what I was going to say might have been too offensive, so I decided not to say it. But what great science! Yeah, birthdays are good for you because statistics show the more you have, the longer you live. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, my last one here. Marriage is the alliance of two people, one who never remembers birthdays and the other who never forgets them.
Again, I got comments that I'm going to keep to myself. What a good one. That's another one that makes a lot of sense. Well, it's your birthday. You said you're 49 today. So,
yes.
So again, happy birthday. I hope you have a great day and evening celebrating your birthday with your family, wife and family. Go ahead and give us our stock market report. Tell us what's going on today. I know yesterday was a tough day.
It was. Yeah, a little bit better off today, I think, so far. We'll see how it ends. Yeah, all right. So this is Aaron Irving with LPL Financial, member of FINRA and the SIPC, bringing you your mid-morning stock market report for Wednesday, September the 14th. Stocks were higher this morning as investors tried to find their footing after the biggest one-day drop in more than 2 years. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and S&P 500 were 0.4% higher, while the NASDAQ Composite rose about 0.5%. Merck and Johnson & Johnson each rose more than 2%, leading the Dow, while tech giant Apple gained 1.6%. The Dow sank more than 1,200 points yesterday, while the S&P 500 lost 4.3%. And the NASDAQ dropped 5.2% in their biggest one-day slides since June of 2020. The market moves came after August Consumer Price Index report showed headline inflation rose 0.1% on a monthly basis despite a drop in gas prices. The hot inflation report left questions over whether stocks could come back to their June lows or could go back to their June lows or fall even further. It also spurred some fears that the Federal Reserve could potentially hike even higher than the 75 basis points that they're pricing in. All 30 Dow stocks and S&P 500 sectors finished yesterday lower, led to the downside by consumer services, communication services. The sector fell 5.6% and finished its worst day since February, dragged down by shares of big tech names like Netflix and Meta Platforms, which tumbled 7.8% and 9.4% respectively. A slew of stocks notched fresh 52-week lows early this morning. These included Meta Platforms, which fell about 1.5% and stooped to levels not seen since March of 2020. And also chipmaker NVIDIA hit a fresh low dating back to March of 2021. Currently, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 80 points at 31,185. The S&P 500 is 15 points higher at 3,948. And the NASDAQ Composite is up 69 points to 11,702. West Texas Intermediate Crude is up $2.10 a barrel to $89.41. Stocks of local interest. HF Sinclair is up 69 cents a share to $52.51. Walmart is 55 cents higher at $135.77 a share. Duke Energy is up $1.16 per share to $109.35. And EOG Resources is up $5.64 to $127.05 a share. This is Aaron Irving with Oakley & Irving Wealth Management, serving business owners and energy industry professionals in the Pecos Valley and beyond. You can find us at oiwealth.com, run our offices in Artesia and Carlsbad. You can call us at 575-887-7075. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member of FINRA, and the SIPC.
Well, Aaron, thank you for that report. And Jeffrey here in the office, our producer here on the morning show, reminded me of a tweet that was sent out by Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys. You know, the GM, head coach, owner, whatever all his titles are. And as a person that is not a Cowboys fan, and I don't know if you are or not, are you a Cowboys fan?
I'm ambivalent.
So either way, well, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I can appreciate this tweet after they lost. They lost Sunday. You may not have known that, but the Cowboys went down. And again, I shared this a little bit yesterday with the Good Morning Artesia show folks, that I'm not a Cowboys fan. I do have my team, which is the Chicago Bears. Started liking them back in like 1981, so I've been a Chicago Bears fan for a very long time. Anyway, and any other team that's playing Dallas. Those are my two teams, Chicago Bears and any team playing Dallas. But Jerry Jones, anyway. Now I don't know if this is a joke or not, but it's probably, who knows. If you own a Cowboys jersey and live in the Dallas area, be at practice tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Very good.
So the GM, the owner, who I believe ought to be the head coach, Mr. Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys, said, "Come on out." I've seen some memes, Aaron, on Facebook, just funny as heck. Uncle Rico is going to be trying out for a quarterback position. I don't know if you know who Uncle Rico is, but I think he's going in for a tryout as they lost Dak Prescott, their quarterback. All right, Aaron, thank you so much. I know you'll be back this afternoon for a closing market report. Thank you for that, and we'll see you later.
All right, have a great one.
You too. All right, Artesia folks, we're going to go ahead and take another break. Let me see here. Yeah, we'll go ahead and take a break. We're going to have the Pecos Valley News Update once again, the Eddy County Sports Report. We're going to have a Hannity update, so stay right here. Good Morning Artesia continues.
Now for your Pecos Valley News Update, I'm Jared Cirillo. An Artesia man will spend the next dozen years in state prison after he pleaded no contest to second-degree murder. 24-year-old Tyler Kelly was sentenced this week for the killing of Marcelino Briceño in 2020 in Roswell. Roswell police had said Kelly shot Briceño after the pair engaged in what was described as an ongoing dispute over a woman. Kelly is also facing attempted murder charges in a separate case that alleges he opened fire on a car traveling south on US 285 near Artesia in May of 2020. Despite discount days at the New Mexico State Fair earlier this week, fairgoers are complaining in droves that the food is way overpriced this year. The food always one of the biggest draws at the state fair, but this year a fresh squeezed cup of lemonade will set you back $13. A cheeseburger, fries, and a soda will cost $18. The turkey legs are also going for $18. You're up to date. I'm Jared Cirillo reporting.
Need to ship a package? Choose UPS. Need to ship a package UPS from Artesia? Bring your package to Brown Drug. Brown Drug wants to be your UPS shipping center in Artesia. Use Brown Drug as your UPS shipping center and we'll reward you by shipping your 11th package 5 pounds or less for free. If you want to make sure your package arrives on time, use UPS. The easy and convenient place to ship UPS in Artesia is Brown Drug at the corner of 4th and Washington.
It's time for the Eddy County Sports Report. Let's talk some volleyball. Last night, it was a bounce-back victory for the Artesia Lady Bulldogs, who over the weekend suffered their first loss of the season. Artesia lost on Saturday 3-1 to Mayfield, and then on the same day defeated Oregon Mountain in a 3-2 of a 5-setter. Kimber Beltran had 11 kills there. Well, they had another one that went 5 last night. This was against Hobbs. Artesia wins that by a score of 3-2. 15-9 was the score in the 5th. Loving, meanwhile, moves to 6-6 on the season by rolling NMMI in a 3-0 sweep of the Falcons' next play at Dexter on Saturday. And the soccer score for you? How about boys soccer? Artesia 2, Carlsbad 0. Artesia is now 9-3 on the season. The Sports Report brought to you by DSI. Call DSI for all your office technology needs. I'm Eric Butler at KSVP Radio, AM 990.
The truth and nothing but. This is the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
What most people don't realize is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they have now changed twice the way they calculate inflation over the years. If we use the same methodology that they used in the Carter years and post-Carter years in the early 80s, and if we use those calculations today, today's 8.3% inflation rate would actually be over 16%. If you apply the post-1987 methodology to today's 8.3% inflation rate, it would be a staggering 12%. Either way, record highs. Great job, Joey.
Keeping you on the straight path. Later today, it's the Sean Hannity Show.
You know, more and more parents are exploring homeschooling. Now, if not in your family, you probably still know someone who is. Now, you need to check out Acellus Power Homeschool. Power Homeschool is the official program that is offered by Acellus for parents homeschooling their children. And at powerhomeschool.org, well, you're going to see how this program keeps parents in control of their children's education, and they're offering online courses right in the safety of your home and taught by some of America's greatest teachers. Now, it's a way to keep your students learning at grade level while allowing for more parental influence and involvement. With Acellus Power Homeschool, well, they're going to get a quality education studying right there at home. Now, it's not too late for the fall season. Just check out Acellus Power Homeschool right now, your affordable homeschool solution. You can learn a lot more at powerhomeschool.org. That's powerhomeschool, one word, .org.
Welcome back here to the Good Morning Artesia show. We're going to have our final guest of the day here in just a moment, but before we do, we'll have our final weather report from Steve. That's coming up, and then we've got our guest in the, I've been saying it was going to be Raylan Bean, but it's going to be Tyler Bowerman, so stay tuned right here after the weather report here on the Good Morning Artesia show.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have a batch of moist air moving in from the south, and that might bring us some afternoon showers and thunderstorms today. Mix of sunshine and clouds, and afternoon highs in the mid to upper 80s. Some lingering showers and thunderstorms this evening. They'll wrap up by about midnight, down to the low 60s, and then we're back to sunny and dry weather on Thursday and Friday, upper 80s to low 90s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
All right, we're back here, and I still hear an echo. Jeffrey just came up and said, hey, you got an echo. I definitely hear myself echoing, so maybe we'll get that figured out. As promised, we've got CVE here to talk all things electric, I guess. Central Valley Electric Company. It is Kyler Bowerman, a 3-month. You can hear the echo still, Jeff? I don't know. Maybe it's this. How about that? Did that? Nope, that didn't fix it.
Okay. Let me get this board together.
Okay. Well, we're going to work on that. Oh, but now I don't have that echo. I don't hear me anymore.
Okay, hold on.
Well, we'll try to figure this out. I think we're still here. So, Kyler, you're a 3-month. What do I want to call you? You're a 3-month veteran.
Yes.
At CVE. You're here today. You've been here before with Raylyn, but she can't be here today. She had other things going on, so you've come in to talk about CVE. You're part of member services.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys have talked about that before, but if you have, too bad, because we're going to talk about it at the end. So why don't you share with us, you're an Artesian. We were talking off air. You're from Artesia, grew up here.
Yes.
And then I graduated from Artesia and then went away to college, but you came back home. So I did the same thing. I went away to college, so a little before you, but then I came back home too, and that's always good. I think getting our kids to come back here and work and live in our community is an awesome thing, so glad you did that. You've been with CVE for 3 months, and you said you're part of member services. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? What does your job entail? What do you do with Central Valley Electric for the community as a part of member services?
Okay, so the first thing starting out, I kind of took over the Facebook page. So I'm in charge of running the Facebook, and then we kind of get passed down the things that other people don't want to do. So there's something new every day, and I learn something new each day, so I really like that. We sell water heaters, and then since school's back in place, we'll start doing the safety demonstrations. And then we get to go out and take pictures of the guys working, so I really do enjoy that too. And that's about, as of right now, that's about all. And the radio, this is my first time doing the radio, so all by myself at least, but.
Well, you like communication, as we were talking off air, so this is communication.
Yes,
it
is.
Talk on the radio.
Yeah.
I didn't know, this is new to me. I'm today years old when I learned this. I probably should have known it, but I didn't know CVE sold water heaters.
Yes.
So obviously electric water heaters, all different sizes. You got everything
we have
available?
30, 40, and 50 gallons, and then we can order others if we need to.
Okay,
but we
so-
keep those in stock.
So mainly for houses, 30, 40, 50 gallons. That would be not commercial use. It'd be for houses.
Yes.
Do you guys do tankless water heaters? As far as you know, you don't.
No.
Okay. Well, tankless water heaters are pretty good in certain applications. I know that in one of my businesses I did one because it gives you heat right now, gives you hot water right now. But I didn't know that. I didn't know you guys sold water heaters. Is that something you get a lot of calls for, or is that just more hit and miss?
It's kind of hit and miss. It'll be really busy a few months, and then a few months there's no calls. So kind of just depends on when their water heaters go out, I guess.
And anybody in the public can buy from CVE, or do you have to be a CVE member?
They do. Anyone can buy them, but we mainly sell them to members.
Members. Do you know, and you may not, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, but do you know how many members are part of CVE now? Do you know that number?
I do not know that.
Well, I know it's a cooperative, right? It's for the outlying areas in and around Artesia, out to Hope and Cottonwood, and maybe further. That you guys take care of the electric needs of the public. And as a member services person, you said you handle the Facebook page. You guys have any other social media, or just Facebook?
Just so far, we just have Facebook.
And so your background, and you said that was kind of your first job with CVE, is to take over the social media page in Facebook for CVE. You said you go out and take pictures of your guys and your folks out in the field working. Is that some of the things you put on your Facebook page?
We do, yes. We try. I find that those kind of pictures get a lot more engagement because people like seeing other people instead of just the graphics that you post on there and information. So
you use the page for information that CVE needs to get out to the public?
Yes.
And what would be an example of that?
So just recently in September, we had the capital credits, and so there's a list of all the people that haven't received their capital credits because we either don't have their address or phone number to get a hold of them. So we put that list on Facebook so that people can go through and see if they know anyone on there and call us and tell us so that they can get their capital credit check.
And people like money.
Yes, they do.
Generally, we like money.
And then we put new jobs on there, just a lot of different events going on. And so then October is co-op month, so we'll advertise that on our Facebook. And
what is co-op month?
So it's basically just all the co-ops. Like,
is this a national thing?
Yeah, it's national.
Okay.
And then we're gonna have like a coffee with the co-op, so you kind of give back to your members with co-op month.
I see. And so you'll invite members to come out and visit, maybe with the board members, or
yes.
or you guys.
I don't think the board members will be there, but
you guys,
the employees, yes.
The employees are there in the office, and y'all have a big, beautiful facility out there. And I don't remember when that was done, but it's recently, a few years ago, but really nice place out there. So you said something I find interesting, and before I ask about it, I'm going to ask you, how many posts a week or per month do you try to do on Facebook?
I'm still kind of getting in the swing of that. I at least try to post twice a week.
Okay.
And it just kind of depends on if we have the content, events to advertise or not. And if we don't, then that's when I put pictures of the guys or employees on there just to keep content going, because that's the biggest thing, is staying consistent with your posts is what I find. So
yeah, everything that I've read about and in my businesses I utilize, and I've talked about a lot about that these last 2 days sitting in here for Gene as he's been out yesterday and today. I've talked about social media. A lot of people that I know see it as almost an evil thing. And they have good reasons for that. And then a lot of people I know see it as a very positive tool. I call it a tool in my tool bag, which is exactly what you guys use it for. And that's part of your job as member services, is to get information out to the public about what's going on with CVE, what you guys are offering, or if you got events coming up, things like that, right?
Yes.
Now, this was the question I was going to ask after I asked there's something you said that sparked it. Do you happen to know how many people are following you?
We're at like 1,900 right now.
Pretty solid base of people that follow, that see your post when you post, and you're the poster, right? You're the one that does it.
Yes.
You said that showing people is bigger. Explain to folks that maybe don't understand or maybe don't know about Facebook how you monitor that and what you mean by it's a better. What makes you say that it's better to show y'all's people?
Okay, so say if I do, like when we did our capital credits post, that was just kind of wording and a link, and we maybe got 5 likes on that and maybe 2 shares, and we wanted more engagement on that and we didn't get that.
Right.
But if we do pictures of the guys working, we'll get up to like 20 shares on that post and 50 likes. So it's crazy to see the difference in how much more engagement you get with those posts compared to just the informative posts.
Right. And so maybe this is obvious, but why is that? Why do you think it is about people that are looking at Facebook that they like those better?
I think because it's more personal and it's like people to people kind of thing. I don't know. It's a hard thing. I've been working with Facebook a lot because I have 2 businesses outside of CVE, so trying to get those, like the trends and staying up with all of that is really hard, and you can never figure out how to fully run Facebook. I feel like that it's always changing.
Yeah, definitely. I think I agree with that. It's always changing, but you're right. People like to see their friends and family, and like to see that personal side, and so I agree with you. In my experience with Facebook and with social media, in the business side of things, when I'm doing stuff with my businesses, it always, number one, pictures work really well.
Yes.
Any kind of a picture, as humans, we like to see that. But if it's of people we know or people of interest, it seems to work better.
Yes.
Now, do your guys and your ladies that you take pictures of, are they bashful, or do you catch them off guard, or how do you go about doing that?
Some of them love it, and they don't want to admit it, but they do love it. And then some of them try to hide from it, and you just have to catch them when they're not watching.
Do they do like that?
Yeah.
Don't take a picture of me. Yeah, that's funny. And the ones that love it, they act like they don't, but you're saying they really like it. Well, some people are hams. They like to be out there, and so that's cool. So you take pictures there in the office, but you also go out into the field. And so when you go out into the field, what do? You look at maybe the schedule there in the office, say, okay, these guys are supposed to be on this pole, or how does that work?
Some of the guys on the crews will text us and let us know where they're at if they're closer to town. And then the other day, I was on my lunch break and I drove by and saw them just down from the office. I was like, I'm gonna go take pictures of them. But
so you just whipped right over there and started taking pictures.
Do what?
So you just whipped over to where they were at? Took pictures.
Yeah.
On your phone, I guess.
No, I have a camera.
Oh, you have a camera. Okay. Well, that probably makes. I mean, these phones these days are pretty powerful picture takers, but you actually have a camera that takes good pictures.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Kyler, thanks for coming in this morning and talking about what you do with member services, and you definitely taught me something. I didn't know you guys sold water heaters. I'm gonna have to check that out because seems like I'm always buying water heaters for one of my businesses. So I'm gonna have to compare you guys to the other places that sell them. So that's interesting to me. Thanks for coming in. I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you. I probably won't see you, but maybe you'll come in with Raylyn again in the future.
Probably.
All right. Well, thanks again. All right, Artesia. Good morning, Artesia, folks. We're going to take another break, and then we'll be back after this timeout.
North 5th Street in Artesia or online at artesiacu.org. Artesia Credit Union, member NCUA. It's important to know local folks you can trust. People who'll be there for you when you need it most. Cisco Equipment in Artesia, serving southeast New Mexico since 1978 and new locations throughout Texas, is the leader in equipment rentals, sales, and service. Whether it's an excavator, backhoe, or wheel loader for the pipeline, or a reach fork or man lift for the construction site, Cisco Equipment has the dirt and aerial equipment to get the job done. Call the team at Cisco Equipment today, 748-1314, serving all of southeast New Mexico and throughout Texas.
It's Chevy truck season at Guy Chevrolet Company in Artesia. The Chevy Silverado is as durable as it is dependable with its proven power and capability along with advanced technology. And this month you can make it your own with a $1,000 accessory allowance when you purchase or lease a Silverado 1500 or HD. So come on in and see us today at Guy Chevrolet Company on the corner of 1st and Main in Artesia or at GuyChevy.com.
Making a great deal better every day.
Devon Energy is proud to support Artesia High School athletic programs. By partnering with Artesia, we're making an investment in the long-term future of our community. Sports teach discipline, teamwork, and leadership, skills our youth will use to succeed for a lifetime. From our team to yours, Devon Energy wishes you good luck this season, both on the field and in the classroom. Go Bulldogs from Devon Energy.
Welcome back here to the Good Morning Artesia Show. Joby Hodling going to wrap it up today and sitting in place of Gene Dow. And Gene probably will be back tomorrow, but if not, I will be here again. And so thanks for tuning in here on the Good Morning Artesia Show. We've had a great show. Not everybody that was scheduled was able to make it in, but I think we talked about all of those events and things coming up. It was great to have the mayor in, as I think he's in every week, but great to get to visit with John Henry, our mayor. And then, of course, the folks from Yeso Public School, Yeso Elementary, as we had the principal, Lynn Worley, and Devin Olivas, one of the fourth grade teachers, and Cassie Sanchez, the secretary there. And then of course, had Aaron Irving, and his birthday's today, so happy birthday again to Aaron. And then finished up there with Kyler Bowerman, who came in for CVE and got to learn a little bit about their member services. And so that was good stuff. And like I said, I didn't know that they sold water heaters, and maybe you didn't either. So now you know you've got a source there. And she said you don't have to be a member to buy that water heater. So if your water heater goes out, you got a place that you can go check out, call, and talk to Kyler Bowerman and see what they've got. And what you can do if you need to buy a water heater, it might be the place to go. On behalf of Jeffrey Curtis, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to sign off here. May see you tomorrow here on the Good Morning Artesia show, but if I don't, I appreciate you listening the last 2 days, and those faithful listeners, thank you for your patience with me as I probably hit wrong buttons, and I know I did at different times, and everything didn't go as smooth as it does with Gene, but I certainly appreciate being able to do this, and wish Gene a safe trip as he makes his way back to Artesia. And so, Good Morning Artesia show signing off. Have a great rest of your day.
This is the KSVP Community Calendar, a look at things to do in Artesia, Eddy County, and the Pecos Valley. The Artesia Historical Museum and Arts Center is displaying the Fashionable Founding Fathers exhibit through September 30th in the Arts Center. The display is open during regular hours, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesdays through Saturdays. The exhibit is a showcase of menswear in 1905, the year Artesia became a town. The exhibit is free to the public. The Artesia football parents and boosters are raising funds to help provide meals, snacks, locker treats, and recognize the team and coaches at the awards banquet. There will be a raffle held at the Roswell High game on Friday, October 14th. If you would like to donate cash or gift certificates for your business for the raffle, please contact the Artesia Football Parents and Boosters, 575-200-5340. To have your event listed on the KSVP Community Calendar, email calendar@ksvpradio.com. Please let us know at least 1 week in advance. Today's KSVIP is Aaron Irving. Aaron is celebrating a birthday today. He has Oakley and Irving Wealth Management and LPL Financial Services in Artesia and Carlsbad. Aaron, we appreciate all that you do for your clients and your friends. Thanks for the great and awesome slideshows on your market report and for always telling the better jokes. Today, Aaron, you're going to receive a flower from Lovebud Floral and KSVP. Today's KSVIP, Aaron Irving.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have a batch of moist air moving in from the south, and that might bring us some afternoon showers and thunderstorms today. Mix of sunshine and clouds, and afternoon highs in the mid to upper 80s. Some lingering showers and thunderstorms this evening. They'll wrap up by about midnight, down to the low 60s, and then we're back to sunny and dry weather on Thursday and Friday, upper 80s to low 90s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Meanwhile, Biden administration officials are scrambling to develop a plan to use trucks, ships, and planes to try to keep the most crucial chemicals and other goods moving if the railroads stop rolling. I'm Julie Walker.
8 pallbearers have carried the coffin of Queen Elizabeth into Westminster Hall. The coffin will lie in state 4 days until the late monarch's funeral on Monday. The Dow is ahead 71 points and the NASDAQ up 84. More at townhall.com.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
U.S. continuing to push to free 2 Americans being held in Russia.
A source tells the AP former UN Ambassador Bill Richards